Saturday. Yeah. Yeah. I got. I was so sleepy. I don't know what happened. No, anyways. We already live in a sci-fi dystopia. So brave. Let me ask you a question. Were they on suicide watch and all the cameras just happened to go out all at the same time and the guards just happened to fall asleep? By the
The
way,
massage.
speaking of boomer moments,
Hmm.
you might want to do that intro all over again because you were muted.
Oof. Uh, so, welcome to Recording in Progress.
Everyone's like, Jim, who are you talking to? Are you hearing voices?
Where we like to slow down the progress of a busy week, which sometimes leads to little things called boomer moments, just like
Oof.
that one.
I was
So,
so sleepy. I couldn't think. My almonds were not working.
so yeah. I see in the chat people noticed that I was muted somehow. So yeah, for those of you who are new, we've tried to bring some new people onto the boat with us today. We talk about pop culture, entertainment culture, nerd culture, internet drama culture, and social media and how big companies are turning our world into a cyberpunk dystopia. And we're going to start off with a brave gay man who's living his truth, and one of his accusers suddenly died in the middle of a trial.
So I ask again, because now this is going to make a whole lot more sense. So, was this person on suicide watch and all the cameras just happened to go out at the same time and the guards just happened to be asleep at that moment?
Uh, that is a serious question. But no, this was a civil suit, so there wasn't anything quite like that. Uh,
Oh.
so yeah, so Kevin Spacey, a massage therapist who claims to have been sexually assaulted, was allowed to proceed forward anonymously, but died according to a notice filed in court by the actor's attorneys.
Hmm.
The individual, suing as John Doe, filed claims in September of 2018 with the allegation of being forced to grab the actor's genitals twice during a massage 2 years earlier at a private residence in Malibu. So, Jim, I mean, you've gotten massages before, right? Like professional massages.
No.
You've never gotten a professional
No,
massage?
not even a shady professional massage.
Oof. You can't. I don't know how you would force somebody in that position to grab your junk. I, I mean, unless you say, "Hey, listen, I'm famous actor Kevin Spacey, and I'm going to tell the police you grabbed my junk, so that they'll arrest you."
I think we're missing the very all and very important part about this whole story is that Kevin Spacey's a gay man.
And
And
he's
it's
brave,
and
and
he's
he's living his
brave and
truth.
stunning for coming
So
out
a
and
federal
telling us
judge in
all.
California allowed the case to move forward despite Spacey's objections that the plaintiff's identity was being shielded. Now, just a month after the parties came to a plan for proceeding the suit that detailed prospective discovery and envisioned a 7 to 11 day trial, plaintiff's attorney has informed Spacey that the client recently passed. No further details are provided. Of course, the Hollywood Reporter, a fine professional organization, says no details is provided, and a request to the plaintiff's attorney for more information has not been answered. Spacey recently got out of another legal situation when criminal charges against him were dropped in Nantucket, Massachusetts. In the case, Spacey pleaded not guilty to felony indecent assault and battery, and prosecutors withdrew charges after the accuser, a teenage busboy, stopped cooperating.
So is he actually turning into Frank Underwood?
That's a serious question. The John Doe lawsuit subsequently represented the most significant legal situation for Spacey, who has been accused of sexually improper conduct against multiple individuals. In this case, as detailed in joint report, should be in a joint report filed in August, the plaintiff's lawyers represented the court two other alleged masseur victims of Spacey, expressing concerns for their safety and or do not want their names to be revealed in public in the media, or revealed publicly in the media. So that's certainly suspicious that somebody feels concerns for their safety, and the guy who's taking point on the lawsuit died. The lawsuit could continue by the heirs of John Doe, though the issue of anonymity provides a complicating wrinkle. To show standing to sue, the heirs would likely have to identify the deceased accuser after getting a green light to administer his estate in a probate court. A judge might also be less inclined to protect the privacy or interests of the deceased, even if the case moves forward. The loss of the most important witness to the alleged sexual assault would make it difficult to litigate. Doe's lawyer, Jeannie Harrison, on Wednesday sent the Hollywood Reporter a lengthy statement in response to the filing. It is true that Mr. Doe recently died, said Harrison. His untimely death was, to his family, a devastating shock that they are struggling to process, and is so recent they have not yet held his funeral service. Out of professional responsibility, we notified Spacey's counsel of Mr. Doe's passing. We explained our intent to allow his family more time to get past the immediate paralyzing grief and begin settling the affairs before we file a death notice with the court, which is our prerogative as his counsel. Spacey ignored our request for compassion and filed notice yesterday without our consent. Consent is hard and complicated.
Yeah, we're going to get into that.
Mr. Harrison goes on to say that filing starts a 90-day clock on her ability to substitute Doe's estate as plaintiff, and calls the decision to file the notice unnecessary and contemptible. Mr. Doe's family must now open the estate at the same time as planning a funeral and processing their grief. You know what you need to do then is you need to file all your estate planning documents before you die. So that way, your family doesn't have to do anything when you die. Mr. Doe was a dignified, kind, middle-aged man, traumatized by Spacey's alleged sexually depraved attack. As a result of this case, other victims from around the world have reached out to our firm. Mr. Doe believed that their harrowing stories, and in his final months, he looked forward to standing up for all of them. His fight for justice is still very much alive. So, what do you think about this stunning and brave gay man, Kevin Spacey?
Well, we shouldn't look at the bad things that he does, because we now know that he's a gay person, and we just need to be so happy and proud for him that he came out as gay.
Exactly. That he is so stunning and brave. But
do not look at the rape victim behind the curtain. Just pay attention to his stunning and brave actions.
So, Jim, as somebody who's been a YouTuber for a while now, not necessarily in that upper echelon, but you've been chipping away. You're familiar with YouTube's customer service to you, the creators that have helped build the platform. Aren't they a very responsive company that always takes your needs into consideration?
So I'm not. I can't put enough quotation marks around the word customer service, so I'm not even going to try. Customer service.
So I know what you're thinking, Jim.
Pick one.
I know what you're thinking, Jim. You know, there are all sorts of weird people on the internet who might want to impersonate you. I mean, that is an esoteric concern, but there are weird people on the internet like that. So YouTube has a solution for you.
Oh, I can't wait to hear it.
It should be easy to know when you found an official YouTube channel or a creator, artist, brand, or public figure. So in late October, we're updating what it means for channels to be verified with new eligibility criteria and a new look. So somebody asked, can we get some clarification on how many subs you have to get that verification? Right now, you don't specify. It's not about an exact sub count or views. Having a large community is one part. Other factors are around authenticity and prominence, such as being highly searched or having the potential to be confused with channels that have similar names. And yeah, so is it hard for you to know that PewDiePie is the PewDiePie on his YouTube channel?
Yeah.
Is it hard for you to know that Ben Shapiro is actually Ben Shapiro on his YouTube channel?
Well, it's kind of hard to see Ben Shapiro because, like, the top of his head is just barely making it into frame because he's so short. Mm. But YouTube is also doing this weird thing where they're not showing you the subscriber count prominently anymore. It's kind of like you have to search for it, and it's in small text now. Which,
yeah,
whatever. Like, I don't really
mind
the vanity portion of that. But at the same time, if I'm looking at like a YouTube channel that's PewDiePie, one of the things that I kind of notice when I'm looking at the channel is, oh, there's a little check mark next to his name, and
the check mark is going to go away now. It's going to be gray swipe.
And then it also tells me in big bold letters that he has 100 million subscribers, 101 million subscribers, whatever it is now. That's both going to be kind of hard to see now, since one's going to be completely gone. The other one's very, very small.
But YouTube, in response to the many YouTube creators who are concerned about this, is if you feel your channel needs clear proof of authenticity / meets the criteria, please appeal. We'll review all appeals before the update actually happens. And if your channel is being impersonated, you can report it too. So
that works.
That doesn't actually work. And also, they said our old system didn't verify much except that a channel had 100,000 subs. We're now focusing on whether fans need help determining that a channel is official. Is it prominent, and is it likely to be confused with other channels with similar names? So that's concerning, right, Jim?
Yes.
And let me pull up. Let's see if this is one that. So somebody during this process of re-verification got suspended because they said she was impersonating herself. So this is Lacey Green.
So if I think people who are kind of familiar with Lacey Green and her thing, I'm pretty sure people will know that there's people who would say, Lacey Green, someone is impersonating Lacey Green. Well, that explains everything.
Right, but it was actually Lacey Green and a human who was selected to review her complaint that she would been falsely suspended. Said, no, you're not yourself.
Yeah.
Somebody at YouTube, an actual human being, said that.
So Lacey Green was for a long time kind of like a feminine. Well, she started out on YouTube as like an atheist kind of person, but like she had a strong emphasis on sex. And
as you do,
because she came from a Mormon family and a lot of sexual repression and stuff, I guess. And then she started talking more about sex and feminism. Then she became like an SJW. Then one day she was just like, I'm starting to question all this stuff, and started making videos critical of a lot of modern feminism and SJW stuff. So, and it turned out it was because, well, probably because, who knows for sure, that she started dating a fellow a person that you probably have heard of by the name of Chris Raygun.
Huh.
Yeah.
So, Gary from Nerdrotic also got the notice that he no longer qualifies for verification. He's going to make an attempt to appeal that. But let's put on our thinking brains for a moment, Jim. Let's
take our brain pills.
Let's take our brain medicine. So let's say you're Disney, and let's say you have a movie coming out called The Rise of Skywalker. Mm-hmm. And you don't want a lot of negative YouTube traffic clouding up the search results. You know what would be really easy? Well, is prioritizing officially verified YouTube creators over non-verified creators,
Huh.
or possibly delisting non-verified creators from your searches.
Huh.
I mean, YouTube is, of course, only doing this because people are confused.
Right.
They don't understand what a gray check mark means, even though every other social media site and service that does verifications uses a check mark. I
Uh-huh.
mean, of course, people are confused
Right.
because, and YouTube even went further, saying people thought that YouTube was endorsing the content.
Yeah. I know Twitter doesn't. I think Twitter suspended the checkmark thing.
Oh no, it's still going.
Well, if you're not grandfathered in, you're done. Forget it.
Oh no, there are people who are
Oh,
there are
there.
new check marks. Oh yeah.
Oh no.
But the
I don't.
biggest
I don't, I
thing
don't want to
now,
live in a world where there's more blue check marks.
so everybody's been excited about The Mandalorian.
The what?
The Mandalorian. It's the
The
new Star
who?
Wars. It's a new Star Wars TV show on Disney Plus that you have to watch in order to get your groceries. Remember, Jim?
Oh yeah, I'm so excited for it.
And you're ready to consume it and then get
I'm
excited again.
yeah. I can't wait to consume episode and get excited for next episode.
So it turns out that The Mandalorian may have been based on the writings of a person we've talked about previously,
Oh.
a Mr. Chuck Wendick. So let me see if I could find the exact thing in this. So technically, it's taken from books due to the fact that Jon Favreau is a supporter of Chuck Wendig and his books, and will be using them as a basis for the Empire's return as the First Order. Even the main character is hinted to be or related to the Mandalorian character that Chuck Wendig created, who acquired what is thought to believe Boba Fett's helmet. So, does the fact that Chuck Wendig, who advocated violence against Donald Trump supporters during the 2018 election, is the secret genius behind The Mandalorian, which is the TV show that's supposed to help be the future of Star Wars? Well, Disney's strategy is, they're going to use Star Wars like a dog to sell their new streaming service. So, how do you feel about the fact that Chuck Wendig and his toxic political commentary is the source of inspiration for this new programming?
What new programming? I'm sorry.
The Mandalorian? Are you thinking about
This was
Mario
a
Maker
thing.
again?
No,
Oh,
everyone just keeps talking about how this new show that I'm supposed to be interested in, that I'm so interested in. And I'm like,
but
wait,
you're
who?
gonna. So it's a prequel to the sequel movies, but a sequel to the original movies.
That sounds like a terrible idea.
And it's all about how the First Order becomes a thing.
Gee, I can't wait to get Disney Plus.
And
All
that's
hail the
coming up in
mouse. All hail the
that's
mouse.
and that's coming up in like 2 months for Disney Plus to roll out.
It sounds so good. I'm not even going to try to find it in the public library.
But on a related note, some more things that may involve you taking your brain medicine.
Oh.
Yes. So there's been, of course, lots of jaw about, among other things, Spider-Man. Well, Disney CEO Bob Iger resigns from Apple's board of directors. Disney CEO Bob Iger has resigned from Apple's board of directors, according to a just published SEC filing. Neither company has given any reason for the departure. The explanatory text of the SEC filing is literally just on September 10th, 2019. Bob Iger resigned from the board of directors of Apple Inc., but with Disney and Apple both preparing to launch their own video streaming services in November, it may be that there's starting to be too much overlap, given that the services are called Disney Plus and Apple TV Plus, respectively.
Mm-mm.
Easy to easy to see where things might start to get too muddled. Also resigning. Let me see if there was other people here. No. So Now, why does that matter? Why do you think the fact that Bob Iger resigning from Apple's board of directors matters enough that I'd bring it up?
Is Disney going to start a live, or is Disney going to start a new cartoon called Frogger? Is that what's going to
No,
happen? Oh,
no. Apple could afford to buy a Hollywood studio, but should it? Apple has the money to buy a Hollywood studio like Sony or Lionsgate to build out its TV Plus ambitions, but its content strategy is different. So, if Sony, that Bob Iger is currently in negotiations with over the fate of Spider-Man, is going to get bought out by Apple, he, as a member of the board of directors, would have conflicts of interest and would have to withdraw from one or the other company's processes, to be fair. So if he was made aware in an Apple board meeting that Apple's going to make a serious effort at Sony, he would be obligated to leave the Apple board of directors before that decision-making process started. So he wouldn't have any undue information. And per the terms of the Sony contract, if Apple were to buy Sony out of their movie and entertainment business, Spider-Man would come home to Marvel and Disney. So what do you think about this possible four-dimensional chess going on in the entertainment industry?
so if I get Disney Plus, I won't get Frogger unless I get Apple Gaming Plus.
Well, no, that's going to be on the Apple gaming streaming service,
Right.
which is going to be a separate thing you have to pay for.
Yes. And I have to have an iPhone in order to get it.
Or an iPad, or a Mac. You know, that's three choices, Jim. Three ways you can
No,
overpay for the product.
I thought the new Frogger game was supposed to be mobile only. What do you don't have? What's wrong? Don't you have phones?
So yeah, on a more serious note, that's a little something interesting. Gonna keep an eyeball on it, but we're gonna move to another digital platform. It's finally doing something about offensive thighs on Asian women. Twitch suspends streamer after she wears Chun-Li cosplay. It's on Kotaku, and you can see all that thigh there.
God. Stop. Hello, Giggles. What kind of sources are you giving me here?
Well, this is Kotaku.
Right, but the next one started auto playing.
Unfortunately, we're dealing with a lot of sources that are clickbait media, so of course they're going to autoplay and be terrible.
What is this, 1995? Is it going to start playing a MIDI next?
Yes. And it's also going to be secretly downloading porn to your computer, as Alex Jones taught us with his cell phone.
Okay.
Speaking of porn. Last night, Twitch suspended art streamer Kukoko after she live streamed herself wearing a cosplay of Chun-Li from Street Fighter. Dexerto first reported Kukoko is a small streamer who often draws pictures from her favorite gaming franchises live on Twitch. Yesterday, she was wearing Chun-Li's signature blue kippo and bun covers, and soon after, she received a notice of a 3-day suspension for sexually suggestive content or activities. According to an email from Twitch posted to her on her Twitter, the outfit featured a thigh-high slit that is sometimes considered risque.
Absolute degeneracy.
One size up to ensure that the slit wasn't too high, she said in an email to Kotaku. The slit of this dress is cut lower than some runners' shorts. Twitch's guidelines surrounding sexually explicit content are vague, and widespread allegations waged by female streamers for years. Attire intended to be sexually suggestive and nudity are prohibited per Twitch's community guidelines. For streams like Yuko's, they recommend attire appropriate for public settings, such as what one would wear on a public street or to a mall or to a restaurant. The video in question has since been removed, so it's difficult to tell if there was a particular moment that may have been flagged by Twitch. Maybe she was doing that helicopter kick. I don't know. Twitch did not respond to Kotaku's request.
I'd give her some bits for that.
Twitch previously suspended Kukoko after she cosplayed Mai Shirani from The King of Fighters at the time. Kukoko wrote on Twitter that she was banned because she was reportedly betrayed by the popular subreddit Livestream Fail. I was sexually harassed, she wrote in a now deleted tweet. All I wore was a Mai cosplay while I was drawing. Kikoku believes that the recent suspension was also due to a group of trolls who have been targeting me for mass reporting for a while. I am immediately reported because I've been branded a thought, she said, adding that she doesn't do physical activities like squatting or dancing on the stream.
Oh.
So, do you watch a lot of Twitch?
I watch Twitch streams that have been ported over to YouTube and edited down.
Right.
Yeah.
So, on the Twitch...
And it's only of one particular game. Do you want to guess what that game is?
Mario Maker.
No. Why would I watch? No.
What game?
Yeah, obviously it's Mario Maker.
So, what is a very common strategy of Twitch thoughts is they will body paint themselves and go on the stream. That is 100% okay.
Yep.
Another Twitch thought chucked her cat during a video. 100% okay.
Yeah.
So what do you think, Jim? Is Twitch an okay platform or is it not okay?
It's not okay. I tried to get into it and I'm just like, nah, I'm stick with YouTube. I don't care if there's not a huge gaming thing, streaming thing, and I barely ever do it anymore. But yeah, I'll just stick with YouTube.
Yeah. So
I got my videos.
A new movie is going to be coming out related to thoughts.
Oh.
Emma Thompson's new movie, The Lost Girls, paint Peter Pan as the villain he's always been. Too long we've lived under Disney's spell. I believe that Peter Pan is the brave, heroic, kind leader of Neverland. Country singer Kelsey Ballerini knew that Pan was just a F-boy, and it seems like Hollywood agreed. I didn't use the word, even though the word technically I don't think counts as profane. We want to try to keep our YouTube as clean as possible. A new movie starring icons Emma Thompson and Ellen Burstyn will follow generations of the Darling family as the women try to escape the clutches of the pirate-fighting man-child. According to Deadline, Lost Girls movie is based on a 2003 book by Laurie Fox.
He's not a man-child. He's literally a child.
Right, but he's a man-child because if you have adult women treating a child who's acting like a child inappropriately, then they're the bad people. But if you call him a man-child, then they're abusing a child is 100% okay. Think about it. Lost Girls is a movie.
Okay, I thought about it, and now my brain hurts.
Based on a 2003 book by Laurie Fox, and of course harkens back to J.M. Barrie's fantasy tale in Neverland. Instead of Pan as the hero, centers on the women of Wendy Darling's lineage. Lost Girls will chronicle 4 generations of Darling women as they struggle in the aftermath of their adventures with Peter Pan in Neverland. And well, it gets creepier. The film will follow with how Wendy struggles to retain her creative spirit after her fantastical journeys with Pan. Deadline continues, like her grandmother and her mother Jane, Wendy must escape Pan's hold on her and the promises he desperately wants her to keep. As her daughter Barry comes into Peter's orbit, Wendy must fight to save her relationship with her daughter while reconciling with her legacy. So, Peter Pan is a multi-generational rapist in the context of this story. That's going to be a movie.
But why though?
Just wait. There's more to this article. Livia de Palois.
Why is there more? There shouldn't be any more. That should be the end of it.
Oh, because it's going to go into more details. Livia de Palois will adapt, direct, and star in the movie as Wendy Darling. Ellen Burstyn will play Wendy's grandmother. Emma Thompson, her mother Jane, and Thompson's own daughter, Gaia Wise, as Wendy's daughter Barry. So we get some nepotism in there too. We knew there was something sinister about Peter Pan, and there's context in the original stories for this villainous turn.
What? Huh?
Peter Pan was always a villain. That's what they're saying.
So I'm all big fan of these kind of like alternate views on things. Like I don't know if you ever seen a little video series that was done a while back. I don't think it's doing it anymore. It was like one of the few things that Funny or Die did that was actually funny. Called Zach Morris is Trash.
Because he is trash.
Because they go through all the episodes and talk about like what the episodes are about. and every single episode is about how Zach Morris is just a piece of human garbage and treats everyone like shit because he's a sociopath.
Because he's a sociopath.
Yeah, and I'm great with, and I'm fine with all of these kind of alternate views. But
Also,
but what is this shit? Peter
posted in
Pan.
the link is a better way to do this kind of story. Posting out the doobly doo for anybody in the chat to watch. So as we continue along,
But yeah,
the
Zach
story-
Morris. Zach Morris is a sociopath. Anyways, go on.
yeah, well, I posted something actually different, a better take on Peter Pan as a villain. In the story, Peter comes back to find Wendy many years later and is angry that she's betrayed him by growing up. Because, of course, that's just angry betrayal versus, a child who lives in a magical land where people don't age, who doesn't understand how those things work anymore. The only way he's appeased is when Wendy's daughter, Jane, not to be confused with the character names in the Lost Girls movie, agrees to go to Neverland to act as his maternal figure. At the end of the new scene, Barry wrote, after he published his original work called When Wendy Grew Up, an afterthought,
Oh my
Peter
god,
Pan...
that GIF is way out of context.
Peter Pan returns
Oh my god.
again to get Jane's daughter, Margaret, and Barry writes that the Darling family cycle will keep going as long as children are gay and innocent and heartless. Yikes. Yikes indeed. Yikes indeed. Terrible article. Plus, it wasn't just the Darling family he targeted. If any of the Lost Boys dared to grow up or confronted Peter anyway, the book says he'd thin the herd.
What?
Since the author Fox has outed Peter Pan's totally creepy behavior in her book, the new movie is based upon, Once Upon a Time famously had an arc that had Peter Pan as the ultimate villain, and the Disney hero has been a figurehead for men's Arrested Development. We're so excited for a female-powered imagining of the classic tale. There's no word yet on when Lost Girls will start filming, but we'll anxiously wait any news. Justice for the ladies, Wendy, Tiger Lily, and Tinkerbell.
Wait, wasn't the first depiction in film of Peter Pan played by a girl?
Yes, but Jim, now you're just bringing in context to things.
So is she a rapist?
Yes, she's a rapist now, retroactively, because that's how the rules work. People are retroactively terrible things. That's how the rules all work. Because, again, you can't think about context or thought. You just have to consume product and get excited. Consume next product.
Speaking of next product.
Yes, indeed. Let me pull up this article from Variety. Norman Lear won't stop. TV legend's Sony deal renewal takes him to age 100. Ask Norman Lear what the past couple of months has been like, and he responds with a joke. It's been 60 days of waking up. He says, I love that. I love waking up. But the legendary producer really relishes his going to work. At the age of 97, Norman Lear is enjoying yet another career renaissance. He won an Emmy on September 14th, making him the oldest winner for live in front of studio audience, which ABC recently renewed for 2 more specials. His One Day at a Time remake, which had recently been canceled by Netflix, scored a 4th season at a new home, Pop TV, and is back in production. With his partner Brett Miller, he's got a number of projects in the pipeline, both original ideas and fresh takes on his classic library. Lear and Miller have been so prolific that Sony, which owns much of the Lear catalog through Columbia Pictures' 1985 acquisition of his Embassy Communications, recently renewed its overall deal with Lear Act 3 products that will keep him busy ensconced in the studio's lot for his 100th birthday. So, know what you're thinking. Are we going to get a Maude remake? A remake of Maude, that'd be good. But no, there's actually some additional content in here. Let me get my find in this page key. Lear went on to produce such films as The Princess Bride and Fried Green Tomatoes, but took a bit of a hiatus after that. So there's been some talk going on the internet. We have so many people coming to us saying, we want to remake this show or that show, Vaquera says. Very famous people, whose names I won't use, but they want to redo The Princess Bride. Some people want to do an animated version of some of the sitcoms. Not a month goes by that we don't have any ideas coming from some very big names wanting to do things with Norman. So what do you think about the idea of a Princess Bride remake?
But why though? Is Fred Savage going to be in it?
I mean, if we were doing a Princess Bride remake, I would actually have him do the Peter Falk part.
Or have Fred Savage tied up in the bed and have Deadpool reading him the story. That's a fresh idea. I don't think Hollywood has touched yet. Oh wait, no, they did do that. It was great.
So, no to remaking The Princess Bride because it's very much a product of its time.
Yeah, that movie is great, and there's just some. It's really lightning in a bottle. It's kind of like Ghostbusters. You can't really just remake that. No.
Yeah. And we got two more pieces here. One is going to dip more into this channel's wheelhouse. Pete Buttigieg on X-Men's Magneto and Professor X. I don't think there is anything about the role that makes it white.
What? Wait,
Yeah. A presidential candidate is saying that we should make Magneto and Professor X black.
But they're Jewish.
Well, one's Jewish. But just wait.
Oh, yes.
Pete Buttigieg, who is running for president of the United States, recently weighed in on the rumors that Marvel Studios are looking to recast Magneto and Professor X with black actors. Buttigieg, who was asked by TMZ about the recent rumors and how he feels about diversity and inclusion in our stories when the roles are a traditional white role, Buttigieg responded, "I don't think there's anything about the role that makes it white." I mean, sure, Professor Xavier did come from an old New York family, a large mansion, established fortune. I mean, sure, that could be a black person, but that kind of reduces it down. He continues, look, certainly the actors who portrayed Magneto and Professor X in the past were brilliant, but it's not because they were white, and it doesn't have to be them forever. He then made a broad generalization on comic book films. Look, one of the beauties of making comic books into your movies is that you can reimagine them constantly. There's nothing intrinsically white about any of those character roles.
But okay, but why switch their race?
We'll get to that in a moment.
Well,
you need to consume more of this terrible, terrible take.
Well,
Buttigieg, yes.
I have
just
many
wait.
things to say.
Just wait. Buttigieg would then jump in James Bond along with Magneto and Professor X. And
wait, what? Does this guy know when to quit when he's ahead?
No, he's still running for president, so clearly not. And comic book characters in general. Whether we're talking about James Bond or whether we're talking about comic books, it makes sense. The portrayal of these characters to reflect the amazing cultural diversity of the country.
Wait.
Our country.
Has he ever read X-Men?
Just wait. It gets dumber.
Impossible.
He concluded, I just care about whether it's going to be good. I believe they are up to that in producing a new film and would love to see that kind of diversity.
Wait, X-Men is not diverse?
Oh, just wait. Because this is from Bounding into Comics, a great website that doesn't have garbage advertisements on there. My guess is Pete Buttigieg has no clue who Magneto and Professor Xavier are. Magneto is a Jewish Holocaust survivor. He was raised in Auschwitz and one of the few to survive at the end of the World War II. The traumatic horrors he suffered and witnessed in Auschwitz are woven into his story and is an integral part of who Magneto is.
Yes.
As writer Chris Claremont makes abundantly clear.
Yes.
So let's go into a little bit of a deeper dive about that. What was one of the many things other than killing Jews the Nazis were known for?
Killing the gays.
Yes.
Jehovah's Witnesses?
But a bigger thing than that. There's a reason they were trying to kill all these people.
Because they had all the money?
No, it's a little thing called eugenics. It's a belief that there's certain people whose genes and racial traits are not good. Those things shouldn't continue to exist.
Oh.
So we have Magneto, a guy who objectively is a superior being because he has, the ability to control the Earth's magnetic field. So, I mean, I don't want to call another human being a superior being, but that's a pretty good thing to say. Yeah, you're a superior being if you could do that.
Oh.
So the Nazis,
I mean, if he can stop Wolverine just by holding his hand up.
yeah. And so Magneto went through this whole process, and that's to show that the entire concept of eugenics or genetic superiority is dumb. But then it goes a little bit further, because later on in the comic books, Magneto marries a gypsy chick. They have some kids, and people come to abuse him because he's married to a gypsy chick. He loses his kids for most of their adult life. They get raised by some rando people in Romania. And that turns him down the path to becoming a supervillain and becoming the kind of people who destroyed his family. And embedded in all of that is the humanity of his character, which Charles Xavier later so expertly, and it later becomes a template for other supervillains to have them stop being a villain and become a good guy. So, yes, in theory, you could create someone with the powers of Magneto, the personality of Magneto that doesn't have those life experiences, but the detail of the life experiences create the depth of the character.
It gets dumber.
It does get dumber.
Here's why it gets dumber. I mean, the X-Men, the whole thing was like a big allegory for Jim Crow in the 60s, because that's when it was made.
It was.
And so
and
that's
Magneto
why...
was originally a template for Malcolm X, and Professor Xavier was originally a template for Martin Luther King. So that's why people say, well, we should make these characters black. But the X-Men are supposed to be a meta context of all the different discriminations. So if you make them a rainbow colored flag of different grievance groups, then that theme of the X-Men becomes muddled and not as good.
Yeah. I mean,
And
wasn't the first African American lady superhero in X-Men Storm?
I don't know if she was the first African American superhero lady, but yes, Storm was in the X-Men.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go into something of a deep personal interest to anybody who loves them some 80s nostalgia.
The 90s.
Gary Larson's The Far Side cartoon is coming back after, 20, 30 years?
Jesus.
1995, over 20 years. Gary Larson said goodbye to his fans and the absurdist universe of The Far Side with his final comic on January 1st, 1995. And since then, the real world has done everything it can to live up to the insanity of his iconic comic strip. Unfortunately, the foolishness of 2019 isn't nearly as enjoyable as sentient chickens and oversized suburban bugs. Now the 21st century might be getting both of those creatures along with aliens, cavemen, clever cows, and women with beehive hairdos, because for the first time in almost 2 decades, no, that's not how math works. It's almost 3 decades at this point. You should maybe do some math. The cartoon official webpage has been updated, and the update, maybe it's been a while for an update. And unless it's a joke on all of us, the Far Side will soon be returning. After sitting dormant since 1999, again, that, if it was like off by a few months, you should just count that as 20 years. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying. The Far Side's website was updated suddenly and without warning, which we first learned about on the Daily Cartoonish. It features a new cartoon of an explorer using a blowtorch to melt some of the strip's most iconic characters from a large block of ice. Below it reads, "Uncommon, unreal, and soon to be unfrozen. A new era for the Far Side is coming." Since the cartoon itself, signed by Larson, it certainly appears he will be returning with all new comics for the first time in almost 25 years. So my first real question is, where are they coming? I mean, who reads newspapers at this point?
Not me. I don't think I've seen a newspaper in a decade. No, I take that back. I work in old people's homes now. I think about it. Yeah, they have them laying around for them. Because, as Blizzard pointed out, a lot of people still don't have cell phones.
I mean, I have a cell phone. So, yeah, that's the Far Side thing coming on. But we have potentially our first actual guest. Somebody kind of just in about wanting to be a guest. Are you okay with that, Jim?
Yeah. Does he know about Beelzebub?
We'll talk to him about that in a minute. So we'll take a moment to get to our next topic to see if we can upload somebody here. He definitely wants to talk about how Pete Buttigieg is a little Pete-tacular.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, that's definitely what he's probably wanting to hop on about. All right, just a second. So for the Discord chat, is there anything I would have to do to bring somebody on who's not unofficially masked as a host?
Just tell him to get into general, and then I'll just drag him in.
All right.
To the general voice chat thing. That should work. On his way to Discord now. He was ready. So, how about this? While he's getting ready for general, let's talk about the musical album, and then by the time we're done, he should be ready.
Oh,
or unless he wants to.
There he is.
Hear me?
Drag him in.
Yes.
Hey, Michael, how's it going?
Hey, it's going all right. Yeah, so Pete Buttgag is in the news again.
Yeah, so you get to be the official first ever guest on this show.
Awesome.
You're the
awesome.
the first guest we've had on the show. This is Michael, who I also do another show on with called The Welk Report. So yeah, you want to talk about how Mayor Pete's take on the X-Men was dumb?
Yeah,
really dumb.
Well, it's Pete Buttgag. You know, he's going to say stupid shit. Not quite as many stupid shits as Joe Biden. He have the grabby hands and deranged, semi-senile diatribes that are blatantly racist against black people and poor people and God only. But yeah, so.
And Mayor Pete also invented a feud with Mike Pence that didn't actually exist.
Right. Well,
campaign.
Right. Well, to be fair, you know, it's not that difficult to start a feud with Mike Pence because he's kind of like Carrie White's mom from Carrie.
But Mayor Pete didn't actually start a feud with Mike Pence. He just said there was a feud, even though there was no evidence of one.
He could have just started one and went, "Hey, look, I had a feud."
Well, he could have just been imagining one.
Any of these are possible. So what do you think about this person who's not going to win the Democratic Party nomination?
Okay, so all right. Well, like I said, it's Pete Buttgag, which, if you've been paying attention to the way I've pronounced his name, gives you an idea of what I think of the boy. But all right, so yeah, so he's basically saying that Magneto isn't necessarily somebody you could characterize as white. Well, never mind that he was actually set up to be, you know, kind of more than one thing. Okay, the dynamic between Magneto and Professor Xavier was meant to it was meant as an allegory for the dynamic between Malcolm X and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., where, you know, Malcolm X takes a more militant approach to fighting for the rights of his people, and Professor Xavier is taking the more moderate approach, which is and actually that kind of mischaracterized the dynamics of both men, because actually Martin Luther King Jr. towards the end of his life was actually becoming more radicalized.
And Malcolm X broke away from the Nation of Islam and actually did some joint work with Martin LutherKing towards the end of Martin Luther King's life.
Yeah, because Malcolm X was assassinated in 1965 and King 1968. But they met for all of like maybe 5 minutes.
Allegedly by Louis Farrakhan. Allegedly, right. Louis Farrakhan organized the hit.
Yeah, supposedly I've not seen any evidence one way or another, but it seems to me like the FBI was deliberately looking the other way. So whoever was behind it got away with it quite a while ago. But that's basically the allegory that was created. But the actual character of Magneto, as he was originally written and conceived, he was a victim of the Holocaust who, much like the Israelis, took his fight against fascism and Nazism to extreme levels. So Magneto is actually kind of an amount, right. So the grain of truth in what Pete Buttigieg is saying is that, that it is true that Magneto was originally conceived that way, but if you're talking about recasting Magneto on the big screen to be played by Denzel Washington or whatever other black actor, well, you could do that, but again, why?
You lose all of that depth of material that was built into the character originally by, I think Stan Lee was the original X-Men writer.
Yeah.
And then later by Chris Claremont.
Yeah, and if you think about how Black Panther last year kind of dropped the ball with regards to the interpretation of Killmonger, where they can't seem to make up their minds if his motivation is just pure revenge because his uncle murdered his father and basically left him to fend for himself in America, while Wakanda is like this, big, huge utopia for its citizens. And then, being some kind of like champion for the African diaspora, even though he spent pretty much his entire life becoming a CIA asset and killing the very people he's supposed to be protecting just so he can get into a position. So they tried to do too much with Killmonger, and it actually ended up losing something in the translation to the big screen. I mean, it's still a good movie, don't get me wrong, but
also
you see the problems that take place when you try to alter the dynamics of a character. Like
if you have it in your budget, I highly recommend you pick up the Killmonger miniseries trade that should be out soon. It was an excellent book. Brian Edward Hill did an excellent job where he took half the stuff from the movie and half the stuff from the comic book version of Killmonger and melded them together into somebody. And he was not a good person at any point. It was basically, he was a terrible person, and then there was a moment where he became a supervillain, where he crossed the threshold from just being a bad guy to being an actual supervillain.
Right.
And it's a very good book, and the book's all about him cutting ties to people and eventually crossing that barrier. So I'm very glad you decided to jump in today, because we're talking about a controversy in role-playing games. And I sent you that link. Did you get it pulled up, Mike?
Yeah, let me call it up because
it's one of Jim's favorite topics here, since this is a anarcho-libertarian capitalist channel normally. It's talking about consent.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it, although
I put it on the Google, but it'll pop to you here on the Discord.
Okay. Yeah, I closed that out actually.
I could just pop it to you on the Discord. That's fine too. So
did you pop it into general chat or what?
No, I did it as a direct message in your Discord.
Oh, okay. That explains why. Okay.
So Monty Cook Games has decided to get into the fact that there are people who are triggered by things that occur in role-playing games. And they have developed a new product to help manage that. So the product does, of course, say, you have a right. Did we lose Mike? Or did we? Yeah, we did. There you are. Okay. We had a little bit of a secondary boomer moment there. Are you back with us, Mike?
Yes, I am back. All right. I'm looking at the checklist right now.
Yeah, so Monty Cook Games, there's been a whole lot of strategies that have entered into the role-playing game hobby, like X-Card, and ways to handle things that are emotionally, socially, and mentally harmful. I'm going to use air quotes for that.
All right. Yeah,
that
green,
can happen in role-playing games.
Yeah, green says enthusiastic consent, bring it on. Yellow, okay, right. Veiled or off stage, might be okay on stage, but requires discussion ahead of time.
But before we get
Heartline do not include. All right.
Before we get into that, into the weeds on this form, I just want to kind of inform some of the audience who's not going to be as into role-playing games. So, bad things happen in people's lives. some people want to bring those into games, some people don't. So this form is a way for you to hand this to a game master and say, hey, here's the thing, or in theory, have the game master hand it to you.
Okay, so basically a liability thing.
No, it's not even a liability thing. It's just basically, I don't want to see this in the game, or I do want to see this in the game. Now, a lot of newer supplements talk about that as a session
But
zero.
you know what the dungeon
activity.
master can say then? Well, don't play the game then.
That is a valid thing, but the book this came from doesn't talk about that aspect of the dungeon master's authority, and that's become a thing people have gotten away from. So Jim isn't part of the role-playing game hobby, so we're going to talk about some of the form terms here, and then we're going to go into the nuts and bolts of it. GM name is the name of the person who's running the game. Player name or leave blank. So Jim, if there's going to be a consent checklist, which is trying to hold you accountable for the consent of other people in a free association, do you need to know who is or isn't consenting?
Yeah,
That
would help.
Yeah, that would help. But apparently that's not, because this is a form for people who may not feel strong enough to tell you that we don't like what you're doing. Planned game theme, that's fairly self-obvious. And how, if this game was a movie, how would you rate it? That's actually become a fairly standard pairing of things that have happened with role-playing games that have come into the hobby recently. They use red light, green light, red, yellow, green light system for determining plot and story elements. So we're going to talk about horror, and we're going to talk about bugs. It's one of the first line items here. So
I'm
here's
kind of creeped out by earthworms.
Creeped out by earthworms. There are actual lines you could fill in earthworms there, but here's a question though. When you're in a role-playing game, you're being swarmed by earthworms. So are you being triggered by being swarmed by earthworms, or the wriggling worms crawl up and down your legs? You could feel each inch of their body undulating up you. So this
yeah, could we just stop?
Wait, I did not consent to this.
but
We're ending the show now. My consent's been violated.
But that's the problem of some of these topic points, because it's one thing to say, you fall into a pit of spiders. It's another thing to have the GM obsess over a pit of spiders. Term of art wise within role-playing games, that's called a spotlight issue. If you focus too much of the spotlight on things that nobody but you likes as the GM, you're not taking care of your players' needs to have a good time. And vice versa, if you focus too much on their needs and not your own, you're going to be bored and not care about the game. This form doesn't go into any detail or context with this, and it says you don't have a right to ask people to clarify what they don't like. They have an absolute right to hand you this form, and if they don't feel comfortable with your answers, they can leave. We'll scroll down to relationships. This is something that's semi-controversial.
Okay, so if my ex decides to join in on the role playing and I'm uncomfortable,
that
with
is
my ex
not on the
being there.
form. That is not on the form, but that could be elsewhere in the form. There's like, do you want somewhere else? So you can, in a role-playing game, pretending to be another person. That other person can have a girlfriend or a spouse. So a big problem that has happened in role-playing games is
excuse me, sir. I'm getting jealous of your girlfriend because I thought we were best buds.
Exactly. So
I object to this. You do not have my consent to this to include it because I get jealous.
So you have that as another spotlight issue problem, because it's one thing to say your character has a wife in the game, which generally most GMs use, and it's considered a hack move, is just, we're going to use your wife as a stake thing to kill or to hold hostage or something like that. But realistically, if you want to focus entirely on your imaginary relationship with your elf wife, that's also a spotlight issue, and that's also you're doing things to other players that's wrong. Shouldn't do that. Likewise, you have things for like homophobia, racism, real world religion, sexism. Again, it's all an issue about spotlight.
Okay, so let's say I want to get in on a role playing game, and they decide to stick me into the gay relationship character. Like I'm Clyden, and
Yeah.
it's like, why do I have to be Clyden? I want it to be Bortus, damn it.
So, going through all of this thing here is most of this stuff is spotlight issue and GM technique issue, but how this form's actually going to be used in the real world. If you're not a GM who's on board with this, you're going to have somebody randomly coming up to you in the wild and said, hey, I got this new supplement and I really want to feel comfortable about playing in your game. And it's a very passive-aggressive form of manipulation and control.
I'm not a fan of passive aggression because here's why. It's still aggression, and I am under no obligation to respond to your aggression with anything other than aggression.
Exactly.
And then you want to act like the butthurt victim of my aggression, even though you were being aggressive first.
Exactly.
It's a form of narcissism. You're being a narcissist
exactly right.
as well as being aggressive.
And also, there's several other things here that are kind of confusing in a role-playing game setting, like cancer. Well, there are a few niche games where cancer could be a theme, but why though?
Well, didn't Wade Wilson have cancer, and
exactly
that
would be a niche
program cured his cancer? So right.
Well, it didn't really cure his cancer; just gave him super cancer.
Right.
But these are also not just consent issues for the GM. This is for other players. So you have to collate all these forms as the GM, make sure all of your players are following everybody's mutual consent.
Except if the identity of the... So basically there's nothing on here that says, okay, we can identify... I mean, you could write in the margins or something, but...
Well, I mean, you can write in the margins your name or on the line, but you don't have to. And
right. So basically
that to take this seriously,
right? And frankly, there could be other people who, don't object to this stuff mainly because they find it relatable to something in their experience. Like, I was just watching Carrie actually because I'm trying to prepare for this contest, and I'll actually link this to you on Discord because this is actually pretty kick-ass. 1428 Elm reported this, but US Dish has this contest asking, could you watch 13 movies for money, and specifically 13 movies based on Stephen King books. So
that would be hard because there's not 13 good Stephen King movies.
Well, it doesn't say they have to be good, but it's actually pretty involved how you have to take part in this, because they send you this thing to measure your heart rate when you're watching the movie, and what I wanted to do is do some brief videos or something, just showing my live reaction to certain scenes. So I started watching Carrie a little bit, got about not quite 20 minutes into it before I turned it off and realized, oh, wait a minute, I haven't even gotten confirmation that I entered the contest because they're taking entries until the 15th of October. So, but you have to watch all 13 movies by Halloween. So, yeah,
So, Jim, as a libertarian who talks a whole lot about consent and aggression, what do you think about this consent form here?
Remember, I'm not a non-aggression principle anarcho-capitalist. But
you've talked a lot about aggression and consent.
Right. I agree with it as a rule of thumb. But for the most part,
that somebody should have a conversation with someone like a normal human being about these things.
Look, it's usually kind of like, hey, we're gonna play this game, right? And you should probably know like some of the elements. Like if you're gonna get into role playing, guaranteed you're probably in that crowd and you understand that this particular game has these particular aspects of the game, of the storyline that you probably might be comfortable with, and you would probably know that. And if you didn't, you could always be like, hey, so like I'm pretty triggered by bats. Is that going to be a thing in this game? Yeah.
We're playing Curse of Strahd.
Is there any way that we can say that they're not bats, but they're just like rats
We're
or
doing a
something.
Batman role-playing game, so you might find this entire thing triggering.
Yeah. Do we think we could just play like any other game that doesn't have bats in it?
But also,
but then would it be Batman
then it wouldn't
or,
be Batman.
or Ravenloft?
Exactly. But an
But,
issue.
but I don't need to
as-
fill out a consent form to do this. It's just kind of like just common conversation that you can all kind of work together with and be like, okay,
Now, if you go
we're
back
gonna
to the 70s when the first
we're gonna play
role-playing-
this Glore role playing game, okay? And we understand that you have a problem with aliens, so we're just gonna ignore that part of the storyline and say that they're interdimensional reptiles. Like, oh, okay, I can do that. This is just how normal people
there's
function. You don't need to have this checklist.
Or like when George Lucas said it's going to be aliens in the new Indiana Jones, Steven, and then he called him back the next day when Steven told him that was stupid. Said, "What if they're extra dimensional beings?" And Steven said, "Yeah, I like that. Let's go with that idea."
Yeah, this is why Steven Spielberg really should not be taking advice from George Lucas.
Steven Spielberg forgot to take his brain medicine on that movie.
Yeah.
But,
Shia LaBeouf was a bad call too.
but one of the
Actual cannibal Shia LaBeouf?
actual cannibal Shia LaBeouf, one of the big
There's a thing on cannibalism in the checklist I saw.
yeah. But one of the things from the 1970s, the first generation of game developers had for role-playing games, as whenever they were asked questions about problems in the game from people at conventions, they said, "Did you try talking to them?" And more than half the time, the answer was no. They'd say, "Well, first you should try talking with them." And that's another issue I have implicitly with this form, is it takes away the impetus for people to have, social skills and talk to people.
Oh, come on. We're talking about a society that has spent the last 12 years watching The Big Bang Theory religiously and worshiping the ground Sheldon Cooper walks on.
Ugh. So we're now going to be going into the review section. So this is going to be really fun because Jim is really into music. Really
Yeah,
into
because
music.
I'm assuming I missed a part about Rambo because it says
Rambo's at the
recording
end.
about-
Yeah,
Rambo is.
That's our
We
finisher.
always have the movie that's the title image. Generally, is the final review.
Oh, okay, yeah, because usually when I go on other live chats as a viewer, they start off with it and then they meander off into something else. And
Oh no! We meander into the main event.
oh, okay.
Maybe we shouldn't do that, Jim. Maybe we should start with the main event.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But that means I
we'll
haven't missed
we'll
a
try
main
that
event,
next
so I'll
week.
be on hand to give my 2 cents on Rambo.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking about a little album because Jim's trying to teach me about music, just like I've been trying to get Jim more into pop culture. And
If you're not
movies
into
and stuff.
Gustav Mahler or Frederick Delius, I pity you.
So we're talking about an album from the Dead Milkmen called Beelzebubba. Are you familiar with that, Michael?
No, but I want to be because it sounds awesome.
Exactly. So Jim, why don't you lead the audience in on this?
So, Beelzebubba is the fourth album by the Dead Milkmen, which is a Detroit-based cowpunk comedy rock satire punk rock band. It's kind of hard to pin them down exactly what they are because they're just kind of out there. Some of their songs are pretty punk rocky. Other
And if
songs
I
are just
remember,
kind of like
their
what's going on.
albums kind of float in that spectrum when they do multiple albums. If I remember correctly.
Beelzebubba. Okay, so this is Beelzebub down south.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So there's not
Down
much
in
to talk
Arkansas
about this.
and Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah, except they're from Detroit, so it's kind of weird. But either way, so there's not much to talk about this album because it is not that deep. It's not like we're talking about a Tool album where there's weird time signatures and stuff. No, everything's pretty straightforward. Everything's almost in 4/4 timing. Most of the lyrics are comedic. The sound is pretty kind of uniform throughout most of the album, with a few exceptions.
It's a general punk kind of album.
Yeah.
As
All right,
much as there could be a general
All
punk.
right, so it's a punk album about the devil being a redneck.
They have songs about like a guy named Stuart who is in a trailer park, who is talking to one of the other members of the trailer park, who is on a long diatribe explaining to them how he found out about and the intricate details about how the gays what the gays are doing to the soil. They're building landing strips for gay Martians. He swears to God. Which is kind of an interesting song because there's basically music going on in the background while you just hear some guy ranting and raving about what the queers are doing to the soil. I love that song. You have another song called Punk Rock Girl, which is their single on the album. It's kind of their, that's their main single of the album, where it tells about a guy who meets a nice punk rock girl at a record store, and they go on some crazy adventures, including
and basically, if there's like a manic pixie dream girl kind of character in a movie, it's a frequently go-to song to play in the background.
Yeah. And most of the other songs are songs about how life is shit, how it's okay to beat your wife, and all kinds of other great topics. Just the vein of the album is very comedic and hilarious. So, Larry, what did you think about Beelzebub by the Dead Milkmen?
It's a fairly general punk kind of sound. I like that. Generally like punk music. The comedy and satire and stuff is kind of odd in this album. I mean, it's not like a Primus kind of tongue-in-cheek kind of humor in their music.
No, it's very blunt force. Where it's kind of like where Primus would sing a song like My Name is Mud, and if you after listen to it for a while, you start to realize like, oh, he's talking about how he has to bury a guy that he just murdered for stepping on a shoe. Whereas this one is like the first line of the song is "Got to beat my wife," and then it goes into detail about exactly how he wants to beat his wife with various forms of blunt. He doesn't say why; he just says how he's going to beat his wife, and he's going to hit her by a 2x4, and etc. So yeah, it's pretty out there. It's pretty funny. I highly recommend it. If you're going to listen to at least one song on this album, you got to check out Stewart. Stewart is a classic.
It's just so weird.
Because, I'll have to look it up on Spotify or something.
So Jim, you already got the image for the first comic book?
Yep, we are good to go for comics.
So we're going to review Spider-Man #1 by J.J. Abrams, and I cannot air quote that hard enough.
Jar Jar Abrams
and his son Henry.
No.
But I mean, J.J. Abrams totally wrote this and helped his son write this.
Can we burn it before anyone actually reads it?
It's probably going to do one of my comic shop friends on Twitter.
Because this is going to be like Spider-Man with nothing but lens flares in there, and oh my god, no, please.
Sarah Pichelli did the art, so the art's not J.J. Abrams.
Yeah, but look at the eyes of the guy in the background. Lens flares.
Yeah. I mean,
but also Jar Jar Abrams.
Right. Now, this was their teaser image. That is not the image on the cover. They removed that character in the background and just put this badly drawn digital characters on a blank red slate for the cover on the actual book, which is when I knew I was going to be in on a special time. So, again, J.J. Abrams totally co-wrote this with his son Henry. Totally did. This is not J.J. using Marvel to get a job that's not one of his for his son, so his son could actually go outside of Bad Robot to try to get a job. So it's a story about Spider-Man, and you think, oh, great, it's about Peter Parker and Mary Jane because you see Spider-Man and Mary Jane on the front of the comic. No, it's not. Mary Jane gets killed in the first act of the comic, and Peter ends up becoming an absentee father to his son Ben, who is the Spider-Man of the comic book. And with some of the teaser art for future versions, Ben is going to be a Spider-Man wearing a man bun in one of the comic books that's going to be coming in this sequence.
We must find Jar Jar Abrams and stop him before he ruins Spider-Man even further. Look.
Well, it's in its own universe. It's a 6-issue limited series.
No, not even an alternate universe, because what's going to happen is Alex Klutzman is going to be given Spider-Man, and he will do even worse. Okay, we have to stop these assholes.
Well, wait.
Fuck now.
So let me just paint the picture for you more broadly. So, comic book opens strong. There's a big battle in New York, and a bunch of things that look like the xenomorphs from Aliens are there. And like Spider-Man's in a building that's been busted up, his costume's wrecked, and he has to fight the big evil leader of the mob of creatures, murders Mary Jane by stabbing her through the chest, and flinging her off a bridge. So they're
the
ripping
Spider-Man or the alien thing?
No, the alien stabbed Mary Jane, threw her off a bridge. So it's ripping off both the Green Goblin's death as well as Gwen Stacy's death in the way that the scenes are set up.
I want to throw something.
And so Peter's son Ben has red hair, kind of looks a lot like Henry Abrams. Really makes you think. He gets in trouble for fighting a bully at school, and Peter comes to get him, but Peter's away for some reason. He also has a hook hand for some reason.
What?
He has a hook hand for some reason.
But why though?
Because
Because-
Jar Jar Abrams we're talking about. Okay,
Well, no, this is his son.
there
This is
isn't
his
a
son.
reason for anything.
This is clearly his son.
There was no reason given for the Anakin Skywalker's lightsaber in The Force Awakens. No reason given for that. Okay, remember Jar Jar Abrams, Magic Mystery Box.
No.
complete-
There was supposed to be a reason. There was supposed to be a reason for that lightsaber. But then Ruin Johnson came and said, "Nah, it's all crap."
Yeah, but here's the thing though. Go watch Cracked YouTube channel. 5 Reasons Hollywood Movies Suck. It's like that is a question for right fucking now, not sometime in the future when you may or may not pay off and people have stopped caring because they've stopped expecting any kind of payoff because you've burned them one too many times.
So Peter's son Ben meets a girl with weird color hair who's going to be his love interest. And it's clearly
Define
obvious.
weird. Is it puce?
No, it has like green band in the hair and also purple highlights.
So like Lorna Dane in X Factor?
No, like this is clearly a dye job.
Oh, I see.
And he wants to be a hero and do things, but he doesn't know his dad's Spider-Man, and he finds it out after he gets his powers in a superhero teen puberty scenario.
How do you not know your father is Spider-Man?
Well, maybe he didn't want to talk about it after his wife died.
Oh, wait. So, is there anything in this story that is supposed to make any sense?
Wait. I haven't even gotten to the ending. So the villain from the opening has a clone tube, and it looks like he's developing a clone of Mary Jane in the clone tube. So they're also ripping off Dr. Miles Warren in the comic book as Henry Abrams' original villain, OC, Do Not Steal. It comes off very much as baby's first fan fiction because it has the son of the character. The character everybody loves is acting differently and not around. It reeks of fan fiction. And J.J. Abrams should be not only embarrassed to have his name associated with it, but he should be embarrassed his son thinks that this is acceptable work.
Well, keep in mind that Jar Jar Abrams did write and direct The Force Awakens, which is nothing but fan fiction.
Right, but at
fan
least
fiction.
his fan fiction was structured as a story. This wasn't even structured as a competent story. But it's going to probably sell 175,000 copies. I had a dispute with my friend who's the comic shop owner. He thinks it's going to keep up its sales for the whole 6-issue run to a decent number. I doubt it'll be over 50,000 by the end of the run. And it probably won't sell 6,000 copies in trade.
Well, speaking of stealing, some bad news on the tardigrades front.
Oh, but that's the thing I want to talk about later, because I want to actually take the time to break that down. We want to kick that into next week because we have a lot of reviews to cover.
Yeah.
But
I just want to keep it because he mentioned stealing, and
yes,
that was
but
much on my mind
the tardigrades lawsuit was with Star Trek Discovery, not Star Trek Discovery.
Alex Klutzman and CBS and
CBS
SPD, right.
ripped off for Discovery a topic from a video game, and the judge
not just the tardigrades, but basically most of the characters were ripped off from Anis Abdin's tardigrades video game. And even though CBS lawyers were making incompetent argument after incompetent argument that kept getting tossed out because the judges weren't having it, but they still rule in CBS's favor. It's like,
That's
what the
because it's
fuck?
tricky. It's tricky with intellectual property. They would have had to have proved through discovery that there was a reasonable access to the product.
Well, CBS was ordered to hand over all relevant materials. Why
And
didn't
they didn't. They didn't. I don't believe CBS did full discovery.
Oh, they didn't.
But,
They were ordered to, but they didn't.
yeah, so that's something that they can appeal on, and in turn, the higher level federal court can order the court to reopen the case once CBS complies with discovery.
Which they're not going to do.
Well,
We'll see. We'll see.
We'll see. So there's a terrible show on Netflix called Island. I-Land.
Oh, that's clever.
Well, the one of the characters
sarcasm.
Yeah, one of the characters in the show say it's a virtual reality simulation that the nerds invented on their iPad.
Oh.
So even that level, it's not clever. So you wake up on an island, and you can't remember how you got there, which totally segues in from J.J. Abrams. and you find mysterious resources there to help you on the island. So this is the pitch of the TV show. Did you happen to catch this on Netflix, Michael?
No, I let my membership lapse.
Oh.
So
I
either torrent stuff and then buy it later when I have the money, or
well, no, you don't torrent things. You go to the public library that happens to have all pirate themed librarians.
Yeah,
that's where you go. You don't want to torrent because that's wrong.
It's illegal, and therefore wrong to do.
There would be. It would be one thing if I lived within any reasonable difference of a distance of a library, but I don't.
Well,
no.
We're referencing Pirate Bay.
Yeah. Well, I don't use Pirate Bay. They got shut down anyway, didn't they?
No. We don't torrent things because that's illegal, and therefore wrong to do. We go to the public library.
We're a big fan of euphemisms as a sort of show.
Where if you're late returning it, they make you walk the plank and call you a salty sea dog and a scallywag.
Oh, come on. Look, I used to work at Blockbuster, okay? Back in the mid-90s to early 2000s. People rented stuff and then never returned it, and then bitched and moaned about late fees and actually having to reimburse us for the tape that you never returned because you left it outside the drop box instead of bringing it back the next morning. As per the contract you signed.
But back to the show here for a moment. So a bunch of people wake up on a mysterious island, find mysterious items, find cryptic signs. So obviously you can't do this show like Lost. So how do you guys think they do it differently?
By making it watchable?
No.
They didn't do that. I wouldn't be talking about this show.
Then it's exactly like Lost.
So, turns out this is all a VR simulation for death row inmates.
And
what?
Why for death row inmates? What?
Because it's a giant sociology experiment where they wipe them of their memories to see if they could be redeemed socially within a virtual reality world. Because that is totally something that is legal or ethical.
So you wipe their memories, effectively killing the death row inmates without actually killing them.
Well, no. The thing is you have to win the simulation to be able to get out. You have to prove that you're not the horrible degenerate killer, and then you get out, and then you get your memories restored.
But here's the thing, though. A person is his or her memories. So if you are a convicted murderer and your memories are wiped, meaning everything that made you a murderer has already been taken away from you.
Mm-hmm. But they didn't wipe everything.
So in theory, you should already have passed a test because you're no longer the person you were.
Right. But of course, they didn't actually wipe everything because in the first episode, one of the characters tries to rape the female lead character.
Ah, I see.
So no, they didn't actually wipe things. So when do you think they do the big reveal for the premise of this show? Is it at the end of the 7 episode run, or is it somewhere else?
It's probably in the first episode because they're idiots.
Episode 3.
Mm.
And episode 3 and 4 are all about the main character in the real world. She comes back in episode 4, and then 5 and 6 are spent with her trying to solve the game with the people who are there. And then she gets to leave because it turns out she was innocent all along.
I'm having flashbacks to Jekyll.
Yeah.
Either of you familiar with that?
That was a terrible show done by the guy who was most recently
Stephen
showrunner
Moffat.
for Doctor Who. Yes.
Yeah, Stephen Moffat. Yeah, it was one of his first shows that only ran, what, like
5 or 6 episodes.
Right. And yeah, it's horrible. It goes to show why Stephen Moffat should not be allowed to run anything. And yet they made him showrunner of Doctor Who.
And the corrupt warden of this virtual reality prison gets put in the prison because he sent people inside the prison to prisoners, including a cannibal. Oh, also, they told these people whose memories were wiped that they consented to all of this, because that's totally how consent works.
I'm seeing various plot holes in this show that makes me think, okay, if you're going to rip off anything from Jar Jar Abrams, first of all, if you're going to rip off anything, rip off something that's actually good.
Like Alias.
Right.
You could redo the concept of Alias. Also, in the people who are there, one of them's an environmental terrorist. One of them was a mall shooter who brutally murdered a mall. One was the Texas mom who drowned her kids. One was a nurse who killed like 75 old people who were begging to die with morphine. One was a bank robber. And one got set up by her husband who killed her mom and said, no, she totally did it. And I helped. So yeah, that's Island. Don't watch it. It's terrible. I have saved you all from watching it.
There's another one that looks terrible.
Thank you for saving me the pain of watching that, because
now the next review. Pardon me. Go ahead.
I might have turned it on next time I visit my friends in Massachusetts, because I spent the first week of the month in Massachusetts visiting with a friend. I was watching 7 Deadly Sins anime on Netflix.
An excellent anime.
Yeah. So, finish that up. And I was thinking, because the next time I go down there, I might have stumbled upon this and turned it on, and you've saved me from watching it.
I have. So next up, we have Brittany Runs a Marathon. It's a movie about a fat girl who is a partier, is a drinker. It's about having a good time, but her doctor tells her, I'm not going to give you Adderall for social uses. You need to lose like 50, 60 pounds. And in the process of losing weight, she becomes a better person for a while. Then she stops being a better person at our heroes at the lowest point of the story moment, so that she could find out what's really wrong with her and become a better person by the end of the story. The narrative framing device is she decides she wants to run the New York City Marathon. Because she goes into running to lose weight because running's free and gymnasiums charge a whole lot of money.
Okay.
And in the process of running, she meets good friends who support her and want good things in her life. And she realizes her best friend that she's living with is a terrible person who only keeps her around to be her funny fat friend in the bar.
I see.
And also during this process, she finds a guy. They fall in love. The end of the movie, he says, we totally need to get married. And she's like, no, I don't want to get married. But, yeah. And the movie is a very good feel-good movie. She trains twice for the New York City Marathon. The first time, she has a stress fracture in her leg. So that's her low point of the movie sequence. It's a good movie. I enjoy it. It's based off of a true story, and it's all about how things that hold us back in our life tend to be we don't make good choices because we don't think we're good people deserving.
Yeah,
Good
like
things to happen
trying
to
to
us.
run a marathon when you're not in shape for it and breaking your
Oh,
ankle.
oh no, she was in training for like 8 months in the movie by that point in time.
Oh, I see.
It was a stress fracture from overuse.
Yeah. Yeah, well, yeah. Well, stress fractures are pretty nasty because I mean I've had a broken ankle, but it was a clean break. Stress fracture involves the bone splintering,
Oh yeah,
so that's actually a lot worse than
oh yeah,
your conventional bone break.
and
That's the kind of thing that ends careers. So if you're a
oh
figure
yeah,
skater or
oh yeah.
professional runner,
And also in the movie, she, like I said, she learns that you have people in your life that you think are your friends, but if you start to get your life together, you realize, oh, this person's terrible. Why am I wasting my life energy on them? So it's a very good, very inspiring movie. Um, I would recommend this one. This is a
okay.
positive, feel good sort of movie. And now we're going to go to another movie that's kind of artsy, kind of trying to pull at the hey, we're a artsy creative movie called The
If it's Unicorn
Goldfinch.
Store, I'm going to be very upset.
Oh,
No, we already did our review of Unicorn Store. We did that a while ago. This is
All right.
The Goldfinch. So it's about a painting, kind of, sort of. It's about a boy, kind of, sort of. So this movie, because it thinks it's
It's
smarter,
kind of sort of a boy, or it's kind of sort of about the boy.
it's kind of sort of about the boy, and he's also kind of sort of. But I'll get to that in a minute. So this movie, because it thinks it's smarter than it is, it likes to jump around in time at different points in the main character's life that are all connected to his personal life drama. He goes with his mom to the New York Metropolitan Museum. There's a terrorist attack that happens, or a bombing of some sort. It's never really contextualized as to why there was a bombing at the Metropolitan Museum. His mom dies. Whoop, wrong movie. That's Ad Astra. That
no,
we'll
it's,
begin to Ad
no,
Astra in a minute.
it's already fixed.
Oh,
Delayed.
it's fixed, yeah. So, in the bombing, he meets a guy who tells him to go to his partner's store and also to steal this one painting. And he just steals it. He just steals a painting from a museum bombing. And this is a central problem I have with the movie. Like this is the MacGuffin that ties all the movie's plot together, but it doesn't tell you why he steals it until the very end of the movie. Other
Yeah,
than the
and
fact
that's
that some guy told him to steal it.
right. Well, the thing about the MacGuffin is that it's actually important that people know why everyone is after the MacGuffin,
Right.
because the MacGuffin is the thing that drives the plot of the movie.
So this was
I mean, the audience doesn't necessarily care about it. I mean, it could be the MacGuffin could be a lighter if it's strangers on a train, or
Mm,
a briefcase full of important documents.
yeah.
You know, so but even though the audience doesn't necessarily care about it, but everyone inside the story is supposed to care about it. So yeah, the audience needs to know why everyone wants this thing so badly.
It's the last painting by a Dutch master who got blown up shortly after he finished this painting.
Oh, it's
And-
all coincidence.
Various things keep happening, and the painting kept surviving over time, and then it disappeared during this terrorist explosion. So the main character gets fostered by a friend of his family. They're all rich. But then his neglectful father shows up out of the blue from Las Vegas, and he and the painting go from New York to Las Vegas, or somewhere in Nevada.
Nevada.
That's right, Nevada, somewhere in Nevada, where he meets a Russian boy.
It's like if you go to Kansas and say, "Hey, let's go check out the Arkansas River," they'll want to hang you. It's the same thing.
That gets into a whole different story of linguistics
Yeah,
because of the evolution of Arkansas and Kansas. But so this Russian kid whose father was a miner and a drunk and abusive, and so he and this Russian kid bond over drugs and alcohol and how terrible their lives are. His dad has a problem with some completely legitimate businessman in Nevada in the gambling industry. And then he has a completely unrelated car accident where his blood alcohol level was 0.35. It's completely unrelated.
Okay, so yeah, I can see how this movie is really well written and the plot just makes perfect sense.
And so he runs away from his stepmother, who he knows is going to turn him into Child Protective Services, and goes back to New York and
Well,
moves
I mean,
in.
wait, the cover that is on the screen, the guy in the glasses, is that the protagonist?
That's the boy. That's the protagonist.
He seems
Now,
a
the
little bit
girl-
old to be in the custody of Child Protective Services.
Well, no, he was
That's
younger. That was one of the time jumps.
He's all grown up.
Likewise, the red-haired girl was also in that same explosion, and they were like standing next to each other. But he was fine, some minor memory loss and some vision impairment. But she had brain damage to the point that she could no longer perform music anymore, and she was a practicing musician.
I see.
So he becomes the business partner, replaces her father in the business, and events all come to a head because he's selling counterfeit antiques as real because the business is going underwater. And one of the guys he sold counterfeit antiques to says, "I know you stole that painting, and it was used for a drug deal in Miami." And his marriage to the daughter from the foster family that he stayed with is starting to fall apart because he's engaged to be married to her, but she loves somebody else. And she says, "Listen, I can have a relationship with somebody else, and you can have your relationship with narcotics. It's a perfect arrangement."
All right.
And
Yeah. All right. So this is a movie or a TV show?
this is a movie.
How
This is a
long
movie.
is? I mean, what's the running length on it?
Let me pull that up. So while he's sorting through all his problems with his marriage, he runs out of Vicodin. So he goes to a Russian bar, uses the wrong password, but it turns out his Russian friend from Vegas is now a Russian mobster, which is totally convenient. It's 2 hours and 29 minutes.
All right. So 2 hours and 29 minutes. Yeah, I can see why it's so long because they're trying to cram 5 hours worth of story into as much running time as it can go into a movie theater. But why is this?
But what drives the character is he feels guilty that his mother died because they went to the museum because it was raining. So instead of going to the appointment they had that they were early for, they went into the museum. And the appointment was he was going to get yelled at for the principal because his friend said that he had the cigarettes when it was actually his friend who had the cigarette. And this was his mother's favorite painting. And that's why he stole it.
All right. So.
But wait. We haven't even gotten to the fourth act finish.
Okay. Please go on, because I was going to ask a question about it, but yeah, please go on.
So the Russian mobster friend comes to him at his engagement party and says, "Listen, we have to go to Amsterdam now to get the painting back." And the movie opens with him about to commit suicide over the painting. They fail initially to get the painting back. He takes the pills to commit suicide, but his Russian mobster friend comes back, and you think he had gotten killed, but he wasn't. He was just had a very bad gunshot wound. And then he detoxes him from his overdose.
Do you know of a gunshot wound that's not very bad?
It depends. And so he detoxes him.
It's a gunshot wound. What's good about a gunshot wound?
I don't know. So he detoxes him, and he tells him, "Oh, hey, so we set up the guy who had the painting, and the German police broke in. And it turns out he also had all these other paintings that were stolen there. That, like, if it wasn't for your stealing this painting and me helping you get this painting back, would never have ever been found. So really, something good happened because of all these terrible things that you did with this painting." And that's a movie.
I have a couple of questions.
I bet you do.
All right. Who actually wrote this mess?
Let me see what the internet has as answers for that question. It was not well written, though. I will say that.
No, it's not, because things happen in there simply because the movie needs them to happen.
So it was,
sound familiar?
It was an adaptation. It was an adaptation. The guy who adapted it did such movies as Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, Frank.
Oh, you know what? I actually was going to rent that because I had heard about that movie actually being good.
He also wrote Our Brand is Crisis and The Men Who Stare at Goats.
Men Who Stare at Goats.
George
Why
Clooney.
do they stare at goats? They have nothing better to do?
And the lady who wrote the book that this was based off of, that's her claim to fame, is this book. And she's been on a bunch of TV shows related to it.
Okay.
And the director, John Crowley, did such things as some episodes of True Detective, a movie called Brooklyn. So yeah, it's an independent movie that.
Right. So I suspect that the director is trying to go for a directing job on Star Wars or MCU.
Well, I mean, yes.
Because what have we learned over the past 5 or 10 years?
You fail upward.
Right, you fail upward. You're like, you start off as an indie director, you get 1 or 2 mediocre movies under your belt, and then you get hired to make the next Star Wars or MCU movie.
So that's the Goldfinch, which is a mediation on psychological themes, at least it thinks it is, about grief and tragedy and trauma.
But basically, it's kind of like Midsommar.
No, because Midsommar was interesting. At least Midsommar was interesting. This was not interesting.
I was already bored.
So we're gonna talk
about it.
We're gonna hop back into Vampirella and the excellent Vampirella reboot comic series that's been done by Christopher Priest.
Okay, so there was actually a Vampirella movie back in the 90s starring Talizia Soto from Mortal Kombat and Roger Daltrey as Dracula. Yeah,
it was not very good.
It was fantastic for 90s level bad.
So Christopher Priest is taking a lot of the psychosocial sexual angst of our modern age and dumping that into the Vampirella comic and digging in with it. So Vampirella in the first issue of the comic is going to paid therapy because she was involved in an airplane crash. She was involved in an airplane crash because she was punching a Nazi mummy who caused the airplane crash. And the psychologist believes she's just some crazy chick from Canada. And she's going through all of her stuff, and there's some really interesting bits in the story. The climax of the story is her having existential angst over the fact that the holy writs of her people keep telling different versions of her origin story, and she doesn't know who she is anymore. And each story she's told in the first 3 issues has come from different iconic eras of the Vampirella comic book.
I see.
And it's her trying to recontextualize it.
Okay, so basically a soft reboot, but they're not quite. Yeah, because I keep having thoughts of DC every time they reboot, which is like every couple of years now. But if you look at Wonder Woman, they gave her a couple different origin stories. Her original origin story, she was fashioned out of clay by her mother, and the clay was brought to life a la Pygmalion and his statue. And then, of course, that got changed, I think, after Crisis on Infinite Earths. But
no, it stayed after Crisis. It got changed for New 52.
I see. So
make her a child of Zeus.
Right. So, and Vampirella, yeah, they've had several different origin stories, and every time they start over, they give her a new one because it's like, oh yeah, well, we didn't like that other origin story. We're just going to start over. And I'm like, all right,
also,
this is what comics are.
They also, within the framing device of the therapy, as her mother shows up, retcons the origin stories of the vampires and monsters she fights on Earth. She says, look, I go to planets all the time, I get drunk, and I have a bunch of children. So, yeah, I could have been the mother of those vampires and monsters, I can't say. But the shrink, who's kind of sort of author insert for Christopher Priest, but being very sarcastic and playful in how he's shifting things, gets Vampirella down to a basic question. Well, what is it you want with your life? Because Jim works in mental health.
I want to be Bailey John on the cover of my new comic.
I mean, that's there's an audience for that cover right there. There's absolutely an audience for that cover.
Yeah, people who got their ability to draw out of a Cracker Jack box. Oh, like Liefeld.
But at the end of the day, all of her delusional stuff in the mind of the psychologist doesn't matter. What matters is she doesn't know who she is. She doesn't know what she wants with her life. So when you're in therapy, that's the point, is to get you to dig down and access that. So it's been a fascinating 3 issues of getting Vampirella to the point where she asks the fundamental question she needs, which typically it ends up taking you 3 sessions of therapy to get to. What's really going on that's bothering you, and how do you fix it? So it's a very good comic book. It's very well written. It's playfully addressing the conflicts of modern sexuality, with both, women can't be objectified, but also women should be sex positive and body positive, and how those things don't work together. So I definitely recommend you pick up this run of Vampirella when it gets into the trades. It's going to sell well.
I will have to do that just to see how good it is. I'll probably see if I can get it at the library first before I buy it, because I want to like it, but I'm looking at the cover and it's like, no, whoever drew this doesn't know how to draw.
Well, I mean, that's one of many covers. That one was the main cover. There's like 2 or 3 variants. That's something Dynamite's been doing as a big business angle.
Why don't we just get Alex Ross to do a cover for Vampirella? I'm sure he's done them, but he at least can draw and make it look good. But that's one of the issues with the comic industry right now, is that a lot of the artists they've got working on stuff can't draw for shit.
So
it's like they went to the Rob Liefeld school of learning to draw on your own, which means you know nothing about anatomy.
So next we're going to go to Ad Astra, which was the last movie I saw. And it's a movie
I was just reading a review of that in a local paper this week, actually. So, yeah, I mean, because it looks like it's got shades of... Because basically Brad Pitt goes looking for his father, played by Tommy Lee Jones.
Yep.
He's he's on the moon, and the moon basically is...
He's not on the moon. That's a trick the trailers are playing to you. So
okay.
Let me get the review here.
A spaceport on the moon or something, right?
Nope. So Brad Pitt has to go find his father, who went missing on a deep space mission to Neptune. So on the way to Neptune, he has to stop at the moon, he has to stop on Mars, and then he has to go from Mars to Neptune. Most of the run of the movie is to get him off of Mars and on his way to Neptune. So the really cool sequence of the moon is like a tiny portion of the movie. So the trailer is full of lies. Horrible, horrible lies. So this movie wants you to think it's deep, but it doesn't understand suspension of disbelief is important. So when you see the structure in the trailer, you're thinking, hey, are they working on like a Nacian space elevator? Nope, it's a giant radio telescope that they built on a giant tower going up from the ground. So do either of you understand why that's a terrible thing to do and a huge problem for space and science fiction?
Well, radio waves have to be able to travel through something, don't they? Like air?
No, you can transmit radio waves without air. But here's a problem with the radio transmitter receiver telescope thing being built like that. If you're going to just build a giant 100,000 plus foot, multiple mile tower like that, you just build it in space. There's no point in making it a tower. Making it a tower is literally stupid. And this is not the only place where things happen in the science fiction that are too stupid and make all the rest of the plot not make sense. So the mission...
sounds like the plot of Moon with Sam Rockwell and Kevin Spacey. No. It's like, why do they need to clone this guy in order to have him on the moon working, and it's like,
Oh no, it gets much worse than that. So the ticking bomb problem that the movie's trying to solve, or at least the one that it wants you to think is the problem it's trying to solve. It's all about an experimental antimatter engine that's going wrong. And they were using experimental antimatter engine to get a ship to Neptune to be able to do scientific experiments outside of Earth space to
and
find
then
aliens.
I'm having flashbacks to Event Horizon.
Yes. But here's the problem with that whole thing. If you're going to use an experimental antimatter engine, why don't you just send a giant antimatter powered transmitter there? Because while they do gain scientifically valuable data from the ship, it's not data that's so valuable that you would have an experimental antimatter engine. Doesn't make any sense. So Brad Pitt's character is the best of the best of the astronauts. He is so good that his resting heart rate, even in crisis, never goes above 80. But, ... when he learns to get in touch with his feelings about his father, who's been missing and presumed dead, then he slowly starts to suffer crisis. Because the real ticking clock is all about trauma and deep underlying trauma, and how just because you think you're okay, you're not okay. And that's the movie.
Uh,
But
why
for
did
him
Brad Pitt agree to do this movie?
Because it's clearly Oscar bait. It's the kind of movie that appeals to Oscar voters. And
I'm
his character
starting to develop a headache.
His character has to do a journey to another planet to learn to let go of the toxic influence of his father in his life. That's the movie.
Well, he could have simply saved himself a lot of trouble and simply stayed home. I mean, the guy disappeared.
He could have, but here's the thing. Space Force, and they're inconsistent with what they're calling it throughout the movie. Space Force, aka Space Command, believed that he had to get to Mars to give a secure laser transmission to his father because they felt his father would listen to them, to him, for some reason that the movie never tells us.
Okay, so even though they had a strained relationship and there's no reason for Tommy Lee Jones to listen to Brad Pitt,
well, they never really had a strained
reasons.
relationship. They both have emotional problems because they're both stoic and don't have emotional problems. So they didn't really have a relationship issue. But they're also both very angry. They don't show their anger, but Brad Pitt tells us in his voiceover, which dominates most of the movie, that he's angry all the time.
And yet his heart rate is never above 80.
And he never shows the anger in the movie.
All right, so basically, you're telling the audience that you're angry, but we never actually get to see you being angry. What's the number one rule of screenwriting?
Show, don't tell.
Right. So. All right. So why did anyone think this would be Oscar bait?
Because it has like science, and it's talking about issues of trauma and emotional heartache.
Man, science is so cool. Science is so rad.
That's the power of math.
Okay. Have you ever seen that Kids in the Hall sketch where like everyone except the Shakespeare guy wins and Kevin McDonald has a spike in his head and the other two guys have some quirk and it's like and Scott Thompson is like the only one who can actually act, but they cut short the clip because they've got the other hammy, and so it's like, oh yeah, it's throwaway tie. Everyone except the Shakespeare guy, but they're all bad movies.
Yeah,
and they all won the Oscar.
Before we get to Rambo, we're going to do a palate cleanser because I watched an anime movie that came
Kentucky
to theaters.
Bourbon as a palate cleanser.
Well, this is a good palate cleanser too. So Jim's also not into anime, but you might be more interested in this, Michael. So I saw Promare. So Promare is a big, dumb, loud, fun anime movie. It's a spiritual kin to Gurren Lagann. It's about a world where people all gained pyrokinetic abilities. There was a giant war of the people who had fire abilities and everybody else. And firemen became the top hierarchy of social authority and power. And our characters are all part of the fire rescue squad, and they catch the fire terrorist people. But it's all part of a giant governmental conspiracy involving the governor of the city. And they use governor of the city because I watched the subtitle, not the dub, who's also a billionaire, who also invented all the super advanced firefighting technology. And my favorite part of the movie is when the two central main characters, though it looks like one of them is a female in the promotional posters, but it looks like a guy in the actual movie. They met a wise sage AI who gave them the Deus Ex Machina armor to enable them to fight the actual villain.
Plot armor.
Plot armor. The Deus Ex Machina plot armor.
Yes.
And they say to him, like, well, what would have happened if we didn't show up here? Oh, I don't know. The planet would have been destroyed, I guess. That was a very big laugh line in the movie. That it's a movie that knows it's dumb and knows it's all about the hero punching the villain that he should have no ability to punch right in the face.
Okay. So it doesn't take itself seriously. That's the main selling point.
Not at all. It's about a firefighting team in power armor fighting terrorists who have the ability to project fire out of their body and make fire-based psychic constructs.
All right. So basically, just good, dumb, fun movie. Doesn't take itself seriously and
doesn't take itself seriously.
Doesn't pretend to be anything.
No, it doesn't pretend to be anything. It's a big, dumb movie, and it's a lot of fun.
Speaking of big, dumb movies that are a lot of fun.
Now we're here for
finally
Rambo. The main event.
I've always had this love-hate relationship with Rambo because it always struck me as being an 80s attempt to do Dirty Harry or Death Wish, except for a Vietnam War veteran.
Well, the original First Blood was actually based off of a novel. So it gets into a little bit convoluted, but actually this is...
We went in there to win, but somebody didn't want us to win.
Yep. But Jim actually, this is his first time seeing Rambo because he watched all the Rambo movies into the run-up to this.
I've never seen a Rambo movie.
Pity.
I've never seen a Rambo movie. Just never been in a position to watch any of them. My parents were always kind of like, they're big dumb action movies. We're not going to watch them. So I never saw them. And I never got around to seeing after I grew up. And then I was like, you know what? I want to go see this. I'm going to go through and watch them all. And I saw First Blood and I was like, holy crap, I really missed out. Watching this earlier. But I'm glad I watched it because that movie is fantastic.
Also, First Blood is another example of a movie that's made great in editing.
Oh, was it?
It was an entirely different movie. They edited a whole bunch of stuff, added some scenes in, made that movie what it was.
I knew that they originally filmed the ending that was in the book where Rambo dies.
Yeah.
And so does the sheriff. And then test audiences were like, oh, this is awful and depressing. So they were like, all right, we'll reshoot it. So that movie was great. I didn't realize that I had already seen Rambo 2.
AKA Rambo.
AKA Rambo. Yeah, First Blood Part 2.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize that I had already seen it because there was this little movie, I'm not sure if you heard of it, called
Hot Shots?
No, UHF.
Oh, yeah.
Where I remember seeing that and going
Weird
like, that's... Yeah, so Weird Al... Yeah, so Weird Al has like this imagination scene where he's rescuing the janitor of UHF from what were they fighting
Kevin McCarthy is the evil TV station owner. Michael Richards is a janitor.
No. I mean, in his fantasy, in his fantasy,
he was rescuing him from the Viet Cong, who he replaced the evil capitalist TV station with.
Right. So I remember seeing that, and then after watching this movie, I realized like that really wasn't good parody. Like usually, good parody is you're kind of exaggerating the problems with something or the weird aspects of it. But I realized like no, that was spot on. There was parts of this where like bullets might have as well been bouncing off his chest. Like, it was just ridiculous. And it was fun because of that. And I was laughing. I was having a great time. The third one was just boring because it was the same thing in 2, but like way over the top.
But they ripped off a scene for Hot Shots 2 from that movie.
Yeah.
That was where Charlie Sheen got brought back into the military, and they actually used the same actor who played the colonel to go get Charlie Sheen's character.
Yeah.
So they ripped off the stick fighting scene.
Yeah, so that was kind of boring. It was a trudge getting through that one. The fourth one, the one that came out, was it 2008? That one was really good. I was surprised that one was good. That was more kind of like, hey, let's take some more interesting aspects of the story and then also make it kind of big and dumb at the same time. And I was like, okay, I can kind of get behind this a little bit more. So far, that's my favorite of the sequels. But this one's slowly starting to catch up with me. There's a lot of different things in this one, Rambo 5, Last Blood, that I found interesting.
Until they make Last Blood Part 2.
Yeah, because he's still alive. Spoiler. Anyways.
Yeah, Stallone's going to be one of those people who he's going to keep returning to Rocky and Rambo until he's dead in his grave. Just like Arnold Schwarzenegger is going to keep doing Terminator movies until he's 90 years old and can't walk anymore.
Yeah. So there was one thing that was kind of going like, that's one aspect of First Blood that they never brought back was his flashbacks.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the things that he would do because of those flashbacks and because of his PTSD. They brought that back in this movie, and I was like, oh, that's great. Oh, that's great. I'm loving it.
So I want to talk about this movie first because the Rambo series has an interesting pedigree, and it's gone through all sorts of interesting iterations, from being a serious book adaptation movie to a lot of Americans are really into the POW issue. Let's just have Rambo get the POWs back, and like, oh, let's punch the commies one last time in Afghanistan. Wait, they're leaving Afghanistan? Perfect. We've timed this movie out perfectly. Rambo 3 was actually the most expensive movie made at that point in time at a staggering $60 million.
We laugh now. Even adjust to inflation, it's
still not as big as a big budget movie now.
Yeah.
I didn't care for Rambo 4, but if we are looking at Rambo movies only as big, dumb, violent action, very exploitation, like a canon film but less dirty, this movie was a success. It was fun. It was entertaining. Mm-hmm. But there have been attempts to have actual depth in storytelling and good acting out of Stallone in these movies. So in that sense, I had problems with, there were really interesting aspects that the movie just left on the table.
Right. And you know what really kills me, though, is Stallone can actually act. If you saw him in Rocky, I mean, he actually wrote Rocky.
Yeah. And there were good moments of acting out of him in this movie.
Yeah,
right.
And he directed and starred in Copland, which was another one of my favorites, Copland. If you haven't seen that, he actually gains weight for that role. And you can tell he spends the entire movie looking like he'd rather be in any other body except the one he's inhabiting at that point.
So Stallone can act, and there were moments in this movie where there were good acting out of him. Admittedly, Stallone's body's all weird because of the perfectly legal supplements he's been taking, which are not human growth hormone or steroids. And that
the guy's pushing 75 or something, and
yeah, but no,
obviously he's had to use hair dye because it's all gray now. But still.
He got busted by the Thai government for somehow having human growth hormone in his luggage. It wasn't his, though, or at least that's what the courts determined.
Oh no, completely someone else's.
Else's.
Yeah, his luggage got mixed up with the Thai prostitutes, and
exactly.
Just completely random.
So because of that, there are areas where he's inhibited, but he's actually smart enough to kind of play to the physical brokenness that this twisted fitness and drug regimen he's on has added to his body. So I mean, there were good decisions for Stallone as an actor made in the script, but I just think that the script left some interesting things on the table. So it's Stallone versus the cartel. And the cartel guys were acting and behaving in ways that showed they had Mexican military training. And the Mexican military's primary job since the 1970s has been drug interdiction. So that's a great parallel to the whole Vietnam and also Afghanistan story of John Rambo. Like, one of the things that I thought this movie could really use was a sequence where a guy from like the DEA who's on the payroll for cartel said, listen, I got a guy in defense I talked to about this guy. This John Rambo's no joke. He like got a whole bunch of people out of captivity in Vietnam. He like nearly defeated the whole Soviet army himself in Afghanistan. He murdered a whole lot of people in Myanmar. Like, he damn country. You don't want to fuck with this guy. Don't you agree with me, Jim, that there needed to be a moment like that where they said that to one of the drug cartel bosses? And he's like, he's just some old broken down gringo. We can take him. There needed to be that moment
in
to
all
kind
of the
bring
good
it full circle.
In all of the good Rambo movies, there's always been someone there going like, bruh, you know who this guy is that they got over here. This is not a good look. You should probably just stop now. So that in First Blood, he came down and said, like, he's like, oh, I'm here to take him back. He's like, oh, you're here to protect him? I was like, no. I'm here to protect you. That happened again in the second movie.
So that needed to be in this movie, in my opinion. I think that's one of the things that this movie was really seriously lacking.
The fourth one was kind of interesting, where it's like, no one did that. And the whole time you're going like, why isn't anybody coming here to tell them that? If they only knew.
Yeah, they only knew. If they only knew that they were all going to get mowed down.
Right. They were probably thinking, well, they do that in all the other movies, so we have to have him go up against people who actually don't know anything about him, and therefore are stupid enough to actually take him on.
But this would have been a good movie, like, or a better movie. It's a great movie. I like this movie. But there was someone there to go like, after one of the guys got decapitated, to go like, oh, wait a minute.
Who actually decapitated the guy?
Rambo.
Yeah, Rambo. It's like, wait a minute. Right,
so it was relatively
Rambo did this?
Do you know anything about the Mexican narco gangs? They are notoriously incompetent at beheading people.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No. This was
Rambo.
Rambo like killed all the security guards on this one boss's house, then snuck into his room, drug him out of the shower, tied him up on the bed, cut his head off, cut his nuts off.
Why cut his nuts off after cutting his head off?
Because
we don't know.
You cut his nuts off before you cut off his head.
Because this is violent revenge porn.
No. But no, that's doing things back asswards. You cut off his nuts before you cut off his head.
It's not about the pain. It's not about the pain. It's about sending a message.
Because
a dead guy is not going to get the message. Hey, I killed you.
No. There was a message. There was a message, and it was delivered. Trust me.
And
to whom? Not the dead guy.
Right.
No, to his brother.
His brother's
the other boss of the cartel.
Right, but here's the thing, though. It's like, no, you cut off the balls first, then you cut off the head. And then
it doesn't matter. The message was sent. The message was sent.
Oh my god.
The message was sent.
He's got a niece, and there's a whole thing where he's talking to his niece about how, like, you don't know how dark and evil the world is, and she's a millennial, and it's like, like, the world's different, blah blah blah. And
Uncle Rambo, I've seen all your other movies. I know how dark and evil the world is.
Well, no,
guess what? You helped make it dark and evil.
He didn't tell her about that stuff. He didn't even tell her about her dad, which is the inciting incident of the whole thing. She had a deadbeat father who went back to Mexico. And ironically, connecting it to Ad Astra, both the deadbeat Mexican father and Tommy Lee Jones said, like, yeah, I just left you and your mother because I just didn't care about you. And I just realized I didn't care about you at all, so I left. I mean, that's
okay, but all right. Yeah, I know there are deadbeat dads out there who don't care about their kids and make it pretty much clear, but I suspect there's a way that you can portray that without making it come off sounding scripted or ham-handed.
Mm-hmm. So the girl goes off to Mexico to find her dad, and she meets her friend who's moved back to Mexico and is clearly a gangbanger by the way she's dressing. And I mean, like, even a naive high school kid would know she was dressing like a gangbanger. Also, because they're gangbangers drinking 40s, like, outside of her apartment. So that was an element that I kind of like going, that's kind of weird.
Yeah, things where it's like, okay, I know we're supposed
She
to
should have
suspend
some
disbelief, but this is
reasonable.
stretching it.
She should have some reasonable thing here. So she gets kidnapped by human traffickers because her friend sells her out. And she gets drugged up with heroin and then dies of a heroin overdose. And I think the movie would have been stronger if John Rambo, for a change, was fighting for something that he viewed as the salvation of his soul. Not just, you've taken everything away from me, I'm going to murder you now. And murder anybody in your adjacent area.
Right.
Well, he kind of said that at the very end, though. That's why he did that.
But he wasn't fighting for her because she was dead. I'm saying, like, fighting for a living thing. That was something that redeemed him. That would have been interesting for the story and for the character.
Right. And a nice change, too, because if you remember Unforgiven, and Clint Eastwood's character goes out to kill the guy for hire, and then they kill Morgan Freeman's character, and then he goes back and slaughters the rest of them because, all he's got left is revenge. He's not actually fighting for something because... right. So, yeah.
Also, he's doing that to make sure that they don't come after his kids, too. Because they could have come after his kids.
Right,
but that's not implicit in how he acted at the end there. In the end, he was just biblical wrath of God stuff. Which John Rambo is in the ending in this movie, too.
Which, by the way, can we just say that this movie was just an R-rated version of Home Alone?
I mean, I could definitely see that.
I would pay money to see an R-rated Home Alone, actually.
Well, there you go.
You got Macaulay Culkin back, and then Daniel Stern and Joe Pesci, bring them out of retirement, and it's like they're have it where this time it's Kevin stalking them.
That would be an interesting movie. But so Rambo, they touch on a sort of Hispanic ethos for Rambo, but Rambo was also Apache, if you remember from the original movie. And that's an interesting little social context of an Apache warrior going in, raiding, and murdering people in Mexico. I think that was a little interesting little thread that could have been tugged on a little bit better in the movie. That way they wouldn't say, oh, this is, Trump's America again. and we also got to see sections of the Big Beautiful Wall, too, in the movie.
Yeah.
But, of course, the Mexicans just went in the tunnel underneath the wall.
Yeah.
Which is another thing, that makes Trump such an idiot. People, first of all, most of the immigrants who come to this country come through legal ports of entry. A wall is not going to stop them.
Well,
and second, people can dig under a wall, and you can only make it so deep. If you actually look at the wall that's being built, it's actually been demonstrated that people can actually cut through it.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
so
either way,
there's no possible way you can staff every single square foot of that wall.
Yeah,
make sure that it's completely covered.
So Rambo,
which by the way, Rambo has a really interesting way of crossing the border. He just found a place where it was just a barbed wire fence and just ran it over.
Yeah,
drove right through.
So the wall's not keeping people out. It's not keeping people in.
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of a nice dig at Trump, actually, without being a direct...
But of course, the people in the media don't understand how to actually interpret what happened in the movie. What did you think about that scene where he brutally wrecked the pimp in the bar, Jim? Where he
in the bar or outside of the bar?
outside the bar in the guy's truck.
That was beautiful.
Where he,
It was satisfying.
Yeah, so-
I would say like everything about this movie was satisfying.
so
Even though it
one
was big and
sequence-
dumb, it was all satisfying except for the niece dying. Everything was just satisfying, like, and that only just led to more satisfaction that's going to come down the line.
So there was the pimp who kidnapped his niece. He caught the guy in a truck, and he like beat on him a couple of times. Then he like physically presses down on his collarbone until he breaks it.
No, he reaches his finger inside of it, inside of his chest, and like just with his finger breaks his collarbone. He's like, "I'm gonna finish breaking it if you don't say anything." And he didn't say
I'm gonna
anything.
break it
Crack.
completely off is what he said.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I'm gonna break it off.
Yeah. And then he didn't listen, and so he broke it off. And he's like, all right, it's over here.
That was.
If someone were to break my collarbone and rip it out, I wouldn't be talking. I'd be too busy screaming, and then once it and
Pass out to the
dying.
pain.
Right. I mean, how is the guy even able to talk after that?
It's just one of those dumb action movie moments.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like they're trying to replay the last act of Braveheart, where Mel Gibson manages to scream freedom even after he's been disemboweled.
Yeah. But this one was probably the most gory, and I thought it was going to be hard to top 4.
It was more gory than 4, which again I was shocked at.
Yeah.
It could have been worse though, because they could have been stupid gore like Missing in Action 2.
Oh,
if you remember that movie with Chuck Norris.
Or how about Invasion USA with Chuck Norris? That was also a terrible movie.
Right. Well, if you look at the gore in Missing in Action 2, that is so awful, even for the time that it was made.
Yeah.
Because they had practically no budget, and they weren't even trying to make it look realistic. So at least with this movie, they made an effort to have something resembling something you could believe, and not think, oh yeah, this is clearly a rubber head or something.
By the way, I really would have liked if he went and gone back and killed the girl. That would have been great too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure
Rambo does not kill women and children, no matter how much they deserve it.
Right. But he took something from her that she stole from his niece. So in my head, I can imagine he
her V
went
card
back and killed her later. No.
There was a bracelet.
She stole a gold bracelet. So
you took my bracelet. I'm coming back for you, John Rambo. Last Blood Part 2 will be my time to get vengeance.
So the one part that I kind of didn't understand why they did it, Rambo deliberately walked into an ambush. I don't understand why that happened in the movie.
Yeah, no one with any brains deliberately walks into an ambush unless he set the ambush for the ambush.
Yeah, he didn't. And that was one of the things in the movie that I was really confused about. The only reason that happened was for him to get beat up by the entire cartel. So he could get rescued by a Mexican lady who helped him learn more information about what was going on. And helped him get to where he needed to be to brutally murder all the men in a whorehouse.
Okay, so it happens because plot, not because of... Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so this independent reporter helped him get healthy and then brought him to the whorehouse where his niece was, and he just brutally went through and killed everybody. And he told the prostitutes, leave. He goes, no, they'll kill us. No, they'll kill us. And
they won't, because they'll all be dead.
Yep. And the climactic battle was at the Rambo family ranch, where John Rambo built a giant underground tunnel system.
Yes. Because of his PTSD.
The Rambo family ranch is now in Mexico?
No, it's in Arizona.
Arizona.
Okay, so...
Remember, they had to come back into America.
So they followed him to Arizona.
Mm.
Yes, because he stole his driver's license when they beat him up.
Oh, I see.
And then he detonates the entire tunnel system just before he kills the final bad guy by cutting the heart out of his chest while he's still alive.
Because he wanted him to know what it was like to have his heart ripped out.
Kind
Just
of
like his heart was ripped
cutting
out.
his balls off after decapitating.
Exactly.
Right? Because
Exactly.
Well, no. Well, he was still alive while he ripped his heart out. There was no one else to send a message to, so he didn't have to send out a message.
Well, I mean, there's going to be a message when, you know,
and the last thing
the police show up because
still beating, getting ripped out of my chest and hell before me.
Because there's going to be people there because, you know, that was a pretty big explosion when he took out his entire tunnel system.
Yeah.
You know, he may live several miles away from his nearest
Here's me,
neighbor.
Mr. Rambo. We got reports here that you set off an explosion again.
Well, the land was already homesteaded. It was a ranch. He homesteaded it even more by building underground tunnels. So it'd be valid.
And he also built an underground foundry for doing blacksmithing.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, Mr. Rambo, look, I know it's your property, but you still can't set off explosions here.
Yeah.
Because it's disturbing the neighbors.
Also, there was use of magnesium rounds.
But what about my neighbors disturbing me by raiding my house, trying to kill me?
But those weren't
with gold
your
AKs.
Hey, look, sir, this is a castle doctrine. You're well within your rights, but we do object to you causing explosions that, you know, disturb the peace.
Look,
so you're going to have to come along with us.
Doorbell bombs don't violate the NAP.
But so the Mexican cartel had gold-plated AKs for some reason.
Wait, gold-plated assault rifles.
Gold-plated AK-47s, more specifically.
Yes.
Okay, why do you need a gold-plated AK-47?
Because you're rich, biatch. Honk honk.
It's an AK-47. You're using it to shoot people, not show off.
Well, they were using it for both.
I mean, you wouldn't use it in jungle warfare because guess what? Gold is all shiny and it reflects light and everything and gives your position away.
Yeah, but I'm rich, biatch. Honk honk.
Exactly.
Okay, so yeah, needless to say, it's a Rambo movie, so who cares?
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. And like the drug cartel just casually walked into the house of the one guy who got murdered while the police were there and reporters. Just casually walked in. That was a thing that happened.
Hold on, I have an appropriate thing to play. So I'm gonna play it.
Come rich, biatch!
Yeah.
Come rich, biatch!
Carry on.
And now,
So that was the thing. And the two brothers, one brother, the one who got decapitated and his nuts cut off, told the other brother, "You need to kill this gringo." And he's saying, "No, I want you to live every day knowing what we did to this girl, and that we're just going to sell her and trade her out to somebody else until she's a broken down husk." And that was the one whose heart got cut out, was the one who decided to let John Rambo.
Okay,
That
so I'm sending you a sound file that you can use whenever you watch something that gets a little bit pretentious and full of itself.
But this wasn't
Please feel-
full of itself. It knew it was big, dumb, and loud and stupid.
All right, so it didn't. Right, but
I loved all the booby
remember
traps.
The Family Guy episode about the Godfather.
Yeah.
Oh no.
They're all
no.
trapped in the water. Right, so yeah, I just sent you the sound file for that so you can play it.
And
Oh no, I'm not playing Family Guy. I refuse.
also,
It insists upon itself.
it did. But yeah, so that was the Rambo part 5. Probably going to be a part 6. I don't know who John Rambo is going to fight at that point in time.
Well,
Probably the American government.
Considering Sylvester Stallone and his age, because I think he's actually a year or two older than Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he's 72 now. It's like, there comes a point where you have to ask yourself, how many more of these movies are they going to do? Because unlike Schwarzenegger, who really hasn't made a watchable movie in 20 years, Stallone can actually act. I've seen him in movies like Copland, which required him to act. I've seen him in.
Also, what's funny is Stallone did a terrible movie about fighting the Mexican cartels. Not Stallone, Schwarzenegger did one too, where he played the sheriff of some border town, and it was just him versus the Mexican cartels. But this movie at least had heart, unlike that Schwarzenegger one.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and yeah, it was Collateral Damage was the name of the Schwarzenegger.
No, that's a different one. Collateral Damage was when he went.
He goes to avenge
Colombia.
his wife and kid who were killed in an explosion, and
Yep, that one also doesn't have any, but that one at least was better than the one I'm thinking of, where he was the sheriff of some town. This was like one of his first movies after he left office as governor.
oh, I see. Okay, so I thankfully missed that one because the Groban Furor did a lot of damage to California that they're still dealing with down there. So
But yeah, so that was Rambo. I do recommend anybody watch it because all the people in the media are saying it's misogynist, even though it's all about Rambo defending a woman who got kidnapped by horrible people and raped. And it's making all of Mexico look terrible, even though it's only focused on one neighborhood of one poor border town that's infested with crime.
Yeah, but here's the thing, though. I mean, we're living in an era where the idiot in the White House has his hate-filled rage boner for Mexico and depicting them all as murderers and rapists and drug dealers and stuff.
But Stallone doesn't in this movie.
Stallone is in a movie that depicts them as murderers and rapists and drug dealers.
It's predicting a drug cartel that, kidnaps people and forces them into prostitution as terrible people, and Stallone kills them all.
All right.
Doesn't say anything about the rest of Mexico. The rest of Mexico goes on about its business. There's just this one area in this one town.
All right. Well, then he could have said it in any town.
He could have.
Let's play devil's advocate here, but yeah.
No, I mean,
he could have said it in Chicago in that case.
He could have. But
So,
or in Jeffrey Epstein's backyard or something. I don't know.
Larry, are you saying that these people are drug dealers, they're murderers, they're rapists, and
they're not the best
and
people.
some, I guess, are good people?
Yeah, but these people weren't their best, as we can see, because Stallone dispatched them all. But
I did think it was a good idea since he is older, and he's like, you can't really have him be Rambo in Rambo 3. That's just not going to happen. You can't.
Right.
You can't even have him be Rambo in Rambo 4. But what you can do is have him set up like various different kind of booby traps and have them fall into it. And like I said, this was a rated R, a very gory. It was kind of like if Saw meets Home Alone. This is what it was.
Yeah, you could have done it like that. But here's the thing I have, and this again is another thing that I have an issue with on Terminator
Rambo
Dark Fate is that you've got a geriatric Arnold Schwarzenegger and a geriatric Sylvester Stallone. What you could have done a movie about was John Rambo is getting old. He knows he's getting old, and now he's got this fight on his hands. He can't do it alone. It's like, okay, do I go in this alone if I want to get the job done? And you can make it where he's like passing the torch to the next generation.
I mean, you could have done that. It would have been a little cliche, like his niece had like a boyfriend, and like he taught a kid who didn't have a father figure. That could have been something good. I mean, that goes against the meme of tough warriors having female daughters who redeem them, but that could have been a good movie angle.
Phobes, Phobes, are you saying that Orange Man not bad?
Well, Michael's not saying that.
We're gonna cancel you now. No, Phobes is saying that.
Yeah.
Right.
You have to say Orange Man bad or we cancel you. That's how it works.
Right. Well, no. What I'm just saying is like because Stallone is getting up in years, there are certain things that he simply cannot do because he's getting older, and to have him be in a movie like this where it's like it's almost like he's pretending that the Grim Reaper is not coming a calling. I mean, if you're going to call it Last Blood, show that this guy is getting out of his. I mean, if you think about it this way, look at Clint Eastwood. He is not afraid to grow old on screen.
I mean, he
have you realize that he's getting old and can't do shit
at the end of Gran Torino.
Right, exactly.
That was his swan song right there.
Right. Well, he's been in movies after that, like The Mule and Trouble with
but
the
it's
Curve, where it deals
not
with
really
his
the same.
right. So, but but Eastwood is not afraid to get old and appear to be getting old. Whereas you got people like Schwarzenegger and Stallone, even though they're old now, but it's like they're trying to pretend that they're not, that they can still hack it on the screen like they're still 30.
But
Like, no,
I don't.
sorry, you're not. You're 70 something.
I don't.
and you,
This movie definitely did not do that. He definitely did have limits, and that's
Yeah, he
why
had
he was.
limits.
That's why he was really setting up like booby traps more than he was, running around with the bow with explosives on it, blowing
But
up
also, he
helicopters.
set up the booby trap that also alludes to the tunnel combat in Vietnam that John Rambo experienced.
Mhm.
So it's like not only him taking, reasonable precautions, it's also him playing to his strengths.
And
You
his
know what,
PTSD.
you know what a good movie for Stallone to be in would be The Dark Knight Returns. If they were to make a live action version of that and have him play Bruce Wayne and Batman, I would pay to see that.
I'd have a lot of trouble with his allocution playing Batman. That would be a problem. I mean,
Well, I'm sure they could. I'm sure they could work on it, but he is a good enough actor. I think he could pull it off, and if anyone could, it would be him.
but I mean, you'd miss out on that whole sequence. Like, we're criminals, Clark. We've always been. That's the thing from the Dark Knight Returns comic books. Like, Superman goes to Batman, who's come out of retirement, like saying, "Listen, Bruce, you need to go back away for a while until this blows over. Important people don't like this, blah blah blah." And he says, "Well, we've always been criminals. Just you're now a criminal that works for the government."
Right. It's like you're right. You're just a criminal with connections now.
But Rambo's a good movie. I highly recommend that.
I was surprised.
So Jim and I are going to be doing a retrospective in the run-up to the latest in the Jay and Silent Bob saga.
Yeah. Which is probably going to be terrible.
Yeah, speaking of franchises that just don't want to go away and die, although with Kevin Smith, it's like it's not that he's necessarily doing a bad job with it, because I think he just like, okay, I'm purging all of my Jersey movies in this one movie. Then like 5, 10, 15 years go by. Oh, I want to tell another story again.
Yeah.
So, but it can't be worse than Yoga Hosers. Let's just put it like that. Yeah. And I don't care what anyone says. Tusk was good, but we're not reviewing those ones. We're just doing the Jersey trilogy, which is Clerks, Mallrats, Chasing Amy, Dogma, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, Clerks 2.
Clerks 2.
Yeah.
Did he ever get around to making Clerks 3, or is he still raising money?
No, he's doing Jay and Silent Bob reboot.
Yeah. But
which would be interesting because the last time he did that, I mean, it was 20 years ago, and I thought that movie was hilarious.
Yeah.
So
well, 20 years ago, Clerks 2
then be the focus of a right. So
or Clerks 2 was about 10 years ago.
But still, it's been a while.
Yeah, but yeah, I think it would be a mistake for him to do Clerks 3 at this point because honestly, Dante and Randall pretty much got their story wrapped up with Clerks 2.
And they had an animated series.
Why keep taking away, just to, it's like, it's like you're trying to undo the ending of your
Jim, you just had a brilliant idea. Do a reboot of Jay and Silent Bob, the animated series.
No, that was Clerks.
No, I mean, the Clerks, the animated series, do a reboot of that.
Why not? The first couple episodes were good, and then you can tell, like, after they got word that they were going to get put in a bad time slot and they were going to be... So, yeah, Clerks... When they started production on Clerks 2, they did the pilot and, like, 2 other episodes, and those were really good. They were really hilarious. And then ABC was like, oh, yeah, you know how we said we're going to put you on the fall or whatever season it is? That shows do good. They're like, no, we're gonna put you in the one that do bad, and we're gonna give you a really bad time slot. And so they were like, well, let's just make garbage just to run out our contract because they're probably not gonna air, and they didn't air.
Okay, folks, no, we're not going to get Mark Wahlberg to play Batman.
Yeah. So,
you know what? Orgasmo 2 would be pretty funny.
Orgasmo 2 would be amazing. That is a fact.
Well, that's if you can pull Parker and Stone off of South Park long enough to do it. I mean, they've been trying to get themselves fired by Comedy Central because, I mean, I don't know if you're aware of this. Trey Parker and Matt Stone did a Playboy interview
please do a Book of
not long
Mormon movie.
after South Park debuted, and they were in basketball, and they were doing all the promotional material. So they did an interview with Playboy, and Trey Parker said, I don't want to be 50 years old and doing South Park. Well, he's pushing 50 and he's still doing South Park. So, dudes, you guys can walk away at any time.
Yeah.
You can walk away. I mean, even though it is a giant pile of money.
Yep.
So
they've made their money. I mean, they've made all the money they're going to. Because I stopped watching after like the 5th or 6th season because it just started getting repetitive. And it's guys,
it gets better every season.
I mean, it had the same issue for me. I mean, this is just for me, okay? And I get this like with most TV shows, with the exception of Law and Order, is that if it goes longer than 5 or 6 seasons, I start getting bored and I walk away because it gets to a point where you start repeating yourself and not in a good way.
No. I'm sorry. The latest seasons of South Park have been better than all the other ones, and it just keeps being the case. Like they go through different phases, and every new phase is always better than the last. If you haven't seen the PC Principal season, was it 19? You have to.
I think so.
It's beautiful.
Also, their season all about advertisements. Well, I mean that's part of the PC Principles one, I think.
Well, the PC Principle was the social justice and Cartman becoming trans and all that stuff.
Yeah, and the advertisement.
Cartman became trans?
Yeah.
He did.
I thought that was Mr. Garrison.
No.
Trans.
Cartman became trans too.
Yeah, because he wanted to use his own bathroom. He wanted to have his own bathroom.
Oh, I see.
So he said he was trans to get his own bathroom.
You know what they should do if they haven't already? They should do a season where Cartman gets killed and they say, "Oh my God, they killed Cartman! You rock!"
So
right, take the curse of Kenny off of Kenny and put it out of Cartman just for one season and see what they do with that.
Yeah, they haven't killed Kenny in forever.
Yeah. So
well, they stopped doing it. Then they only do it for like the holiday special. So like at Christmas or something.
Okay.
So we're probably going to be doing our big review anchor for next week's show is going to be part of this retrospective because the only new movies that I haven't seen yet that are out are Abominable and the Downton Abbey movie.
Have you seen It Chapter 2 yet?
Already have. We already did that one.
Yeah.
All right.
I also saw Hustlers, The Goldfinch. There's also Official Secrets that's out, but I'm not super psyched about that movie.
But we saw the big movie of last week, which was The Fanatic.
The Fanatic, starring John Travolta.
Directed by
John
Fred
Travolta is
Fred
a
Durst.
I mean, calling him a fanatic is probably a given.
Oh no. No, the worst part about it was directed and written by Fred Durst of Limp Bizkit.
Oh my God! Have either of you seen the movie Crowley?
I'm interested.
For
obvious reasons.
It's a movie that had the back. It was produced by Iron Maiden, basically as an excuse to showcase some of their music on the big screen, and it basically Aleister Crowley, the famous cultist, takes possession of this poor schmuck of a professor and tries to bring about the end of the world by marrying a genuine redhead. And it's like, okay, yeah. And Bruce Dickinson has a cameo in the beginning, and it's just.
Was he wearing gold-plated diapers?
No, but no, he played an innkeeper who discovers Crowley's body after he passes away, and he bends over and then it's like he's dead. It's like basically hamming it up, but low key hamming it up. But yeah, it's just it kind of reminds me of that when you mentioned Fred Durst from Limp Bizkit directing a movie.
Yeah, and he wrote it and he co-produced it.
Yeah.
Whenever you're a director, writer, producer in a movie, that's a sign that things are about to go either horribly right or horribly wrong.
Yep. The Last Jedi. Anyways,
All right. Well,
let's wrap up. Why don't you plug your webs or your show, and then we'll
Just a
wrap up.
second.
Yeah.
Let me
Yeah,
get
so,
the doobly-doo for that.
yeah, I run a podcast called The Wilk Report, which you can see through my my little avatar.
Oh, no,
and
no. You
my
see,
handle on there.
Here's
So,
a good part. I got moderator access, so I can just post it here in the chat.
There you
Oh,
go.
awesome. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. I'm also there
for some
whenever
reason,
Michael and I are able to
my,
get together with our time schedules.
Yep. And of course, you can subscribe if you like the show. You can go subscribe to Recording in Progress, which the link is in the doobly-doo, and go subscribe there because that's where this show is normally at. We decided just to take a break, and go explore another channel for a show, and then
Yeah, if you guys want to come out to my channel tomorrow evening, see if I can do any live streaming. 'Cause I want to talk about this Anis Abdeen case, and because I was watching a video earlier. Gary at Neurotic broke the news, and I was like, "Oh man, that kind of sucks." But he actually mentioned that Alex Klutzman hasn't just stolen tardigrades; he hasn't just stolen the concept for Picard from Brian Fuller. He hasn't just stolen the concept for Cowboys and Aliens, but apparently there's a movie called The Island, which I think starred Leonardo DiCaprio, which, if that's the same movie, I'm not sure. But he also apparently stole that from someone. So, yeah, Alex Klutzman, serial thief.
Oof.
But CBS, but here's the thing, though. CBS, their lawyers were making the dumbest arguments and kept losing. And then all of a sudden the judge decides, oh, no, yeah, there's you got no case. Well, what do I mean? Well, no, I mean, he did have a case, but
It's gone now.
It's a technicality, basically. And CBS basically outspent him.
Yeah. Also, I'm working on a crowdfunded comic book. I'm in the early phases. I'm going to post a link. I posted at the beginning of me talking on another live stream about the project. You'll be hearing more about it when we get closer to completion. So check that out too. And thank you all for an excellent recording in progress. And
Hail worms.
worms, hail worms,
Well, we talked about Crowley, so hail Satan.
hail Satan.
Goodbye, everybody.